Hey everyone, welcome aboard the Dream Harrier. Special Sunday showing. We haven't done a Sunday stream in quite a while. We used to do something called Sunday Vibing, where I would kind of just play random games that I didn't have on the schedule. Or games that didn't fit in, like, my themes. But we gotta finish Mirrors. Because Arden says, what do you mean the other 4 endings? Yes, we achieved 3 endings last time in Mirrors. A little recap. We were set up by Connors and attacked by the northern tribesmen at the Stonehenge, only to be rescued by the detectives. From then we had a choice. We could either go straight to the Archbishop himself and try to take him down. That led to an ending where we all died. The Archbishop died, Susanna died, and David, the Devil King, died. Then we also had the choice to go to Susanna's hometown in order to get help from the other sorcerers, with a choice there being to hunker down and try to surprise them, which led to Susanna and David being obliterated by grenades. And then the other choice was to leave and throw everyone off our trail by doing what they wouldn't expect us to do. And that led us to surviving, and while nothing got resolved, it did imply that in 300 years, this conflict would begin anew. So the loop continues, I guess.
I'll catch my rivals soon. The next holes are the most crucial.
He's after his rivals. Alright, so let's get into it. Sorry for the late start on the stream today. So I do want to show something off. I did play around with my save states a little bit. We left a save state. Is it this one? Okay. So you might remember David and Susanna being in the room, and then David getting a phone call that Andrew, this is still in Germany, Andrew lost a whole bunch of money gambling. We had this choice. We could take the pills to help our anxiety, or just not rely on them. We chose to not rely on them. There is actually a different scene that plays out if we do take the pills. So most of the scene is going to play out similar to before. Alan and Martin were waiting in the lobby. Did you talk to Susanna? That's the Martin voice. That's too deep for Alan voice. Yeah, she'll join us in a minute. How much money are we talking about? He said he lost about 20,000 Dutch marks. He doesn't have that much, so we'll have to ask Susanna for a loan. Susanna arrived. So I've heard. How much did Andrew lose? He told me about 20,000 Dutch marks, but knowing him, he might still be playing, trying to recoup his losses. Moower with the raid. Hello, Moowarians. Let me give you your shout out, Moower. How was Lucien's quest? Lucian? I don't know how to pronounce it now that I think about it. I think I just go with Lucian. Very good, big fan. Ended strong? That's good. I'm showing some alternate scenes that we missed, and then we're gonna go after the 4 endings of Mirrors that we did not get. We already got 3 endings last night. Turns out there's 4 more endings for us to get. So for those who are new here, this is Mirrors. This is a PC-88 CD-Rom visual novel that's very strange. So we're showing an alternate scene of the gambler scene. I brought the checkbook. I can pay what he owes, but it'll be subtracted from Andrew's income. Let's go. Also, if you don't know me, I'm Snake Man. I am the captain of the Dream Harrier. We usually play a lot of retro games. Obviously, we're playing PC-88, so that's strange and retro. This is a translation of a Japanese-only game. I hailed a cab in front of the hotel and headed towards the establishment where Andrew was. So this time we're all pilled up. Once they arrived, they found Andrew playing cards with a well-dressed gentleman. Yo, I've got a bit more. I've lost a bit more, but my luck is starting to change. I can feel it. Just give me a few, alright? You shouldn't gamble when you're so drunk, Andrew. Let's go. Alright, let's make this count. I'm betting 10,000 Dutch marks on this. I'm sure you guys brought Lady Luck with herself with you. So right now Andrew's in debt to this gambler. Considering how much you've let me earn, I'll gladly allow you to pick the stakes. I have to say, you British people are quite the jolly fellows. The man dealt the cards. Andrew had a 3 of a kind. I'll change 2. After changing 2 cards, he still only had 3 of a kind. I have a full house of 4s and 8s. It appears you now owe me 30,000 Dutch marks, Mr. Andrew. Would you like to continue? So this is where it differs. No way. No way I'm stopping. I'm gonna win 10 times as much, right, Susanna? No, Andrew. Please stop playing. He is a professional. You'll never be able to win. I'm not retreating like a loser. I'm playing until I get it all back. Come on, man. We're all worried about you. Let's go. David was fascinated by the stakes at play. The thought of making 10,000 DM in a matter of seconds? So we could not gamble, or we could switch places with Andrew. As far as I know, this has no effect on endings or anything. This is just like a unique scene that if you decide to take the Susanna pills. David pushed Andrew off the chair and sat in his place. He just shoves him off, too. Hey, Buttwitch. What are you doing, David? Can't you see I'm playing? You could play until morning and never win. He's a pro. Let me do this before you bet your clothes as well. Have you lost your mind? You can never beat me at poker. You think you beat this guy? It's okay, we got the demon drugs. We're here to bring Andrew back, man. What's gotten into you? David, please, stop. Let's not waste any time. I'm betting 20,000 Dutch marks. Fine by me. You're David, aren't you? I'm actually a fan of yours, so I'm honored to meet you. With that said, I'm not gonna hold back. The man dealt the cards slowly and methodically. He was clearly enjoying himself. David looked at his cards. He had a 3 of a kind, of 3s, an ace, and a 4. How many would you like to change? I'm changing 4. David changed all his cards, excluding the ace of hearts. Aren't you gonna change any? No, I'm fine as it is. The man showed his hand. He had 4 of a kind of kings. He had a 4 of a kind from the start? Seriously? I hope you're not implying I've been cheating, sir. Do you have any proof? Andrew, shut the hell up. Whoa, David. David showed his hand. It was a 4 of a kind of aces. Aces are better than kings, so I win. How about another round? I'm not very good at dealing, so be my guest. I can't believe it. They both had 4 of a kinds? You're one lucky bastard, David. It's okay, we're using our demon powers. David, please, isn't this enough? We're only down 10,000 Dutch marks now, so... You have quite the luck, Mr. David. I'll have to take this seriously. The man shuffled the cards carefully. He offered the deck to David, but he did not even so much as touch it. The man then proceeded to deal the cards. Well, it's clearly the other guy is also cheating. David's cards were scattered on the table. How many are you going to change? All 5 of them. David changed his entire hand. I'm fine as it is. The man showed his hand. It was a royal straight flush of hearts. What the? You gotta be kidding me. The cards must be marked or something. Please, I'm a professional. However, Mr. David did not cut the deck. I assume no responsibility. Spades are better than hearts, right? David showed his hand. It was a royal straight flush of spades. It appears you were too naive, sir. If you're going to cheat, you should at least pick the best possible hand. This can't be real. And now we're 10,000 DM over. But I'll let you keep them, as my thank you for looking after our Andrew for this long. What happened to you, David? Well, I suppose you solved this issue. Let's go back. This was literally a miracle. I'm getting the same vibes I get from our concerts. Man, what a thrill. For Andrew's sake, let's forget this ever happened. As for you two, Andrew, David, promise me you'll never gamble again. You are musicians. The band left the casino and took a taxi back to the hotel. The gambler didn't even have the strength to get up from his chair. He mumbled to himself while fiddling with the cards. This is the first time I lost after cheating so much. I lost to a complete amateur. Am I getting too old for this? So there you go. That's the alternate gambler scene that we didn't see last time. Now we have to time travel again. Alright. So you might have guessed that the next point we're time traveling to, the next important choice, is right here. This is right when David gets a letter that says that the letter knows all about the Devil King and to come to a certain place alone without telling anyone. So of course our choice here was to see the mysterious person all alone or tell Susanna, and we decided to see it alone. And this led us into the last 3 endings that we've had. So we're going to tell Susanna about it this time. Speaking of dreams, take a look at this letter. Someone left it for me at the front desk. It mentions the Devil King. Blood drained from Susanna's face as she read the letter. By the end of it, her hands were shaking. Susanna, is something wrong? No, I'm fine, I'm just a little tired. Anyway, it does mention the Devil King. How would they know about your dreams? I've wondered that myself. I've only mentioned it once to the guys during the tour. Maybe they told someone else. Maybe it was a tabloid reporter who sent you the letter. They may try to write an article linking your popularity to an occult part or something. That would be very bad. Those people know how to get a story out of you. You know what? I'm not going. Agreed. If they were legit, they'd come to talk to you directly. Unfortunately, when you're popular, you also attract a lot of weirdos. So yeah, we just don't go to that meeting at all. We don't even meet Connors. I'm glad I showed you the letter. With that load off my shoulders, I feel so sleepy now. Between the concert and the party, I don't know how I'm still up and about either. I'll go home and sleep. Have a good night, David. Susanna left the room. David laid down on the bed and fell asleep immediately. So I think we're gonna have the same vision that we had last time, but afterwards is gonna be different. Sometimes he struggles. This whole game has been David having nightmares and then people dying, or things have happened. The following day, David woke up around noon. He was still anxious about that letter. Without receiving any further communication from the sender, he prepared to leave the hotel. Yeah, so David is the lead singer of a British indie pop band who begins their European tour. Right before they begin it, their manager dies of a car accident and is replaced with Susanna. During the European tour, the dreams get worse. Things that he sees in his dreams, like a priest getting beheaded, happens in the real world. After a while, he starts taking these pills from Susanna, as well as given like this special ring, and the dreams become less dreams and more like premonitions or visions of the past. And yeah, it's very insane. You're gonna see how insane it turns. Without receiving any further communication from the sender, he prepared to leave the hotel. Yeah, it's a very hard game for me to like summarize. Susanna opened the door and walked into the room. So David's been having these dreams that call him the Devil King. Are you ready, David? I've already brought all my stuff home, so once you're done checking out, we can have a real vacation. Whoever sent me that letter never contacted me again. I guess they weren't serious after all. Let's go, Susanna. So yeah, we just have a normal. After leaving the hotel, they took a cab to David's apartment. Yeah, I think this apartment scene plays out exactly the same. Except that she already knows about the letter. After tidying up the room, Susanna started cooking as she had promised. This is probably the first time this room is filled with such a delicious smell. I usually just heat up some instant meals. When would you like to leave for the countryside? I'm ready when you are. I suppose it's best to leave ASAP. 2 weeks don't last that long. Yeah, they just finished their European tour, so they're on a vacation. How about tomorrow? Hobworth isn't very far from here. We can go there by car. And by car, we can take as many detours as we want. I like that. Fewer people will see us travel. It'll be more relaxing. Yeah, let's go by car. There's the weird picture that looks like a giant bug to me. Alright, it's ready. Sit down. I've made your favorites. Giant bug. Wow, this looks and smells amazing. Would you do this for me every day if we got married? I don't know. I don't know what it is. Someone was mentioning squash the other night. David opened a bottle of champagne and made a toast to their vacation together. I know, I also see the bug. Oh, that is different. I don't think he proposed to her. David's first night of the vacation passed wonderfully, without a single nightmare. Possibly because Susanna was sleeping right next to him. So I guess it did play out a little different. The next day around noon, David's car left the M3 motorway, entering the A30 road. They were being tailed by Clark and Vince. So the Clark and Vince are detectives who have been tasked to tail Susanna. Well, who knew David and Susanna were an item? We can make a boatload of cash selling pictures on of their vacation together. That's only as long as nobody else finds out about it. At any rate, they're supposed to be heading for Hoffwharf, like at the Wuthering Heights, but why are they taking the A6? If you're on the A30 on your vacation, you're probably going to Salisbury. You know, Stonehenge. Stonehenge, huh? A fitting spot for the Devil King. By the way, it turns out that Susanna's mother is known in some circles as a sorceress and fortune teller. And Susanna's hobbies include fortune telling as well. Now that you mention it, all the people she met during the tour had something to do with divination. Maybe David's ring has something to do with it. He has no special interest in fortune telling, but he does like that ring. It wouldn't surprise me if our client was connected to that stuff, considering how concerned they are about it. Are we getting involved in some kind of conflict between white mages and dark mages? Let's drop the case, Chief. I don't like occult stuff. We're professionals. We can't drop a case once we take it. With that said, this contract only covers David's vacation. I'll turn down any further requests. Oh yeah, so this is also a PC-88 game that's on CD-Rom, so all the pictures and the music are CD-Rom. As the sun began to set, David and Susanna arrived in Salisbury. Instead of staying at the luxurious Red Lion Hotel, they parked their car in front of the smaller Cathedral Hotel. The detectives are funny. I used to not like them, but I grew to like them as the story continued. Shortly after 9 p.m., they left the hotel and entered the A360 road. The headlights of their car shone light on the road as they drove through vast fields and pastures lit by starlight. They won't let you inside Stonehenge during the day. It's much better during the night. It's quiet and there's nobody around. We can stand in the middle of Stonehenge and look at the stars. I've been to Stonehenge before, but never during the night. I feel like it would be pretty ominous without lights. There's fewer fields around. We must be getting close. The headlights of the car illuminated the megaliths of Stonehenge. David parked the car at the end of the paved road. Though there were no artificial lights, those enormous boulders arranged in a circle were clearly visible under the starlight. It was like a scene from a fantasy world. So if you remember in the alternate timeline, we were attacked at Stonehenge. This is the center of Stonehenge. Look, David. If you turn south, you can see a very bright star in the gap between the stones. You can see the stars from here too. Maybe it's because there's no moon tonight, but the sky seems covered with stars. It's like we're floating in space. Standing near Susanna, David looked up towards the southern skies. He could only see the stars above him, however, as the huge stones were covering the view to south. Where's this gap you mentioned? I can't see anything south. You see that cavity in the stones in front of you? Look at top of the stone sitting above and connected to the top of the other stone. Try crouching a little. Oh god. Whoa, that's definitely a bright star. I'm surprised I didn't notice it earlier. What star is it? That's the Belmar Comet. It approaches Earth only once every 300 years. It should be at its closest in a week. Its apparent magnitude is about 5, so it's not particularly famous. Is it really only 5? It looks as bright as the moon to me. That's only because you're seeing it between the stones. Even this way I can barely make it out. You must have exceptional eyesight. When I look at that star, I feel like I can sense the power of the universe itself. What happens during our concert seems so small in comparison. The universe is amazing. Gazing at the stars is romantic, but I can't do what you do. What's it like sensing the power of the universe? I don't think I'm doing anything special. You're not thinking I'm going to change into the Devil King, are you? I'm still the same as ever. We learn a lot about astrology and history. Would it be so bad, though? As the Devil King, you could fly among the stars. Then you could hold me and we could fly together. Like Superman or Peter Pan. David and Susanna were both laughing, happily. After a while, their car left Stonehenge. So see, no attack this time because we didn't meet Connors. Clark and Vince emerged from the shadow of a megalith. They walked to the center of Stonehenge, where David and Susanna had been standing a few moments earlier. They turned their eyes toward the southern sky. I think I see it, Chief. That Belmare comet Susanna was ranting about. It just looks like any other star, though. Was astronomy one of Susanna's hobbies? I've never heard about this Belmare comet once in my entire life. What about you? I barely know about Halley's Comet. Is it strange that Susanna knows about it? Nothing weird in chatting about stars while stargazing with your boyfriend. Clark looked around as if considering whether to inspect the area or not. Eventually he and Vince got in their own car and left Stonehenge. Oh, the spooky music. Oh yeah, and this game has some load times, so don't worry about it. In one of the hotel's double rooms, Susanna was sleeping peacefully. David, who was sleeping next to her, woke up and looked around the room. David... Did someone call out to me? It was a man's voice, so it couldn't have been Susanna. David... Whoa, someone's calling my name. Also a very good picture. David. Who are you? Show yourself. I am King Hroth. I live on in your blood. The Star of Darkness is calling. The time has come for the Devil King to return. The voice was loud and clear, as if it came from within the room. David looked around, but there was nobody else besides him and Susanna. By laying your eyes on the blood of the northern tribes, my blood shall seethe within your veins, and the Devil King shall be reborn. That is only possible now that the Star of Darkness shines upon the earth. So the Belmare Comet is the Star of Darkness. Are you saying I have the blood of the Devil King? I don't care about that. I'm fine the way I am. I don't want to become a devil. Hey, Hexagon Witch. Welcome to this. This must be a weird one to just like walk in the middle of. That will not do. The King of the North will hunt you down and kill you in order to sever the bloodline of the Devil King. The battle has begun the moment the Star of Darkness first shone upon this planet. There's no such thing as a King of the North in this day and age. You've only been showing me nightmares and visions of vengeance from a time long past. You know, and even if there were a King of the North, I can't just kill someone. You have been exposed to the light of the Star of Darkness. Your power as the Devil King is already manifesting itself, and the northern tribes took notice. By denying your call as a Devil King, you are willingly accepting death. My power as a Devil King? Enough of this nonsense. See, what a cool game. It's very fascinating to me. David shouted loudly, waking Susanna up. What's wrong, David? Who are you talking to? The sound of Susanna's voice brought David back to himself. He could no longer hear King Hroth. You're sweating like crazy. Did you have a nightmare? It was neither a nightmare nor a vision. I was talking to King Hroth himself. He said the blood of the Devil King flowed in my veins. I don't want to believe it, but I think I have to accept it. King Hroth, you said. I didn't hear anyone. I knew it. You possess amazing powers that no one else has. What did he tell you? He said that now that the Star of Darkness is close, I must lay my eyes in the blood of the northern tribes, awaken as the Devil King, and have my revenge upon the King of the North. But I'm not a murderer. The Star of Darkness. From beyond the end of the universe. The Belmere Comet? If that's the case, it would be at its closest point in 1 week from now. Did he mention where to find the King of the North? No, nothing about it. He only said that because I've already manifested the power of the Devil King, the northern tribes will come to kill me. Listen, Susanna, I think it'd be best if you returned home alone. No, I can't live without you. The Susanna from your visions always remained at her king's side. I want to do the same. This has become one hell of a vacation. What's going to happen to me if I become the Devil King? Will I be able to keep singing? I like his priorities. Cheer up, David. Here, take this pill and get some sleep. David took the pill and calmed down, falling asleep in Susanna's arms. David and Susanna left the hotel early in the morning, taking the A30 road to Bath. I grew up in Haworth. After my mother passed away, I was raised by her dearest friends, Mr. and Mrs. Lands. I'm sure they'll treat you well. Do you really think the northern tribes could come looking for me? This is the modern age. We have the police for one thing. Think about it. Those nightmares, those visions you have, those aren't natural. If the Devil King is real, then so is the King of the North. We just passed Bath. If we take the M5 motorway, we can stop for lunch in Bristol. Good idea. We haven't had breakfast, so I am feeling a little peckish. David parked the car at the Maxwell Plum restaurant in Bristol. As he and Susanna sat down at a table, Clark and Vince entered as well, sitting down at a nearby table. Thank God we stuck that bug on their door. They usually wake up in the afternoon, but they left the hotel early in the morning. I wonder what happened. When I mentioned the Belmere Comet, our client kept asking for more details. Then they told me to keep a closer eye on David. Something's definitely up. I don't like this, Chief. Call me paranoid if you want, but there's been weird murders around us ever since we've been on this case. It's like wherever Susanna goes, someone ends up dead, even if she's not involved. Maybe I should have one of my friends in the business investigate the client. It should be fine as long as he doesn't drop my name. The phone number the client's using could be a good place to start. Please do. To know the enemy, know your allies, or something like that. Alright, I'll call him. You keep an eye on our couple. Clark left to make a phone call. Hey, this is usually the traveling music. You can't use it here. If it isn't apparent, I keep bopping to the music in this game. While Clark was using the phone booth, Susanna herself walked towards it, waiting for her turn. After finishing his call, he waited until Susanna was looking away to return to his table unnoticed. Once Susanna came back to her table, Clark went back to the phone booth one more time, returning shortly after. Nice job with the bug. Let's rewind this baby and find out who she was talking to. I'm lucky I had this wiretap with me. I wasn't expecting her to make a phone call right after me. Let's hear it already. I feel weird just looking at the tape. I'll listen to it for— Damn it, they're leaving. David and Susanna paid their bill and left. Clark and Vince left in a rush. Both cars were driving along the A30 road. As it was a working day, the road was clear and the cars were moving at a fast pace. Why don't we listen to that tape, Chief? Nobody will be able to hear us here. Clark started playing the tape. Though unclear due to the noise, voices could be heard. I'll be there later today. Tell the others to meet at the predetermined location. There's no doubt that David has inherited it. We have yet to... Where are you now? The northern tribes could make a move any time now. You must hurry. About the northern tribes. David hasn't noticed yet, but the two detectives are still following us. Have you found out anything about their client? We've managed to take a picture, but our mark has managed to elude us. Then we'll let them roam free for the time being. Until we know the identity of their client, we may have another chance soon. Talk to you soon. The conversation ended there. She was talking to a woman. The two detectives, that's gotta be us. So Susanna knows we're tailing her. What do we do now? I get it now. Remember when she was waiting around near the Tower of London? She was confirming her suspicions. Well, since they know about us, I guess we can investigate with impunity now. It looks like they're headed for Hogwarts. It's too far away to reach it within the day, though. They'll probably stay somewhere along the way. We'll find out soon enough. Anyway, looks like Susanna's friends are also looking into our client, as they mentioned the northern tribes. So right now the detectives don't know anything about their client, except that the client seems interested in all the occult shit. And they're starting to get a little weary of their client. David's car left the highway and entered Stratford, the birthplace of William Shakespeare. They drove through the countryside along the River Avon. Rather than entering the town, David's car took a small road that followed the Avon Canal, a small agricultural waterway tributary of the River Avon. Finally, they reached a farmhouse in the middle of a large field. Susanna knocked on the door. They were greeted by a couple in their 50s. David and Susanna were greeted with a smile and invited inside. Clark and Vince stopped their car and watched from a distance. However, they did not seem to get out of the car. Susanna introduced David to the couple. David, these are Gerd Holly and his wife Harriet. We used to visit them often when my mother was still with us. We were on our way through the countryside, and when I thought about you, I wanted to see you again. Would you mind if we stayed for the night? You can stay for as many days as you like, sweetie. It's just the two of us here. We could use the company. Mr. Gerd, are you still studying magic? I'm nowhere near as good as your mother was, but people still come to me to have their fortunes told, even if they don't always come true. How about you? I had to focus on my work, so I pretty much forgot all about it. I'd like to study it again once I have some free time. Whoa, you used to know magic? My mother was a sorceress, you see. She was pretty famous, so I used to imitate her. I could never touch lizards and frogs, though. The Susanna from my visions was also a sorceress. If you're her descendant, you might be able to become a first-rate sorceress yourself. Harrier called out from the dining room. Dinner's ready. It's simply countryside cooking, but it's definitely better than what they serve at those fancy restaurants out there. Before they knew it, the table was covered with dishes. Mr. and Mrs. Holly were intently listening to David as he talked about his life in the music world. Their dinner continued late into the night. So in this timeline, this is where David learns that Susanna is a sorceress. Why don't we go out for a walk, David? There's no pubs and neon lights around, only fields. But I guarantee it's the freshest air you'll ever breathe. David was indeed tired of talking and wanted to be alone with Susanna, so he agreed. Yeah, at this point, David's just like, whatever, magic. I saw a guy's head start bleeding out of his third eye. David and Susanna went for a night stroll. As they walked along the path in the field, they could hear the sound of water flowing through the canal. The canal could be crossed over through a small bridge. David and Susanna leisurely walked over it. Susanna, I remember this place. It was in one of my nightmares. We were attacked by two men, and then they stabbed you and you fell in the river. Yes, this was an earlier nightmare. And now there's two men beyond the bridge, just like in my nightmare. They're getting closer. Do you think the King of the North sent them? In my nightmare, there were two men behind us as well. We had nowhere to run. Susanna, would you mind checking behind us? It's too dark to tell, but I don't think there's anyone there. At least that's different from your nightmare. Watch out, they're approaching us. The two men approached them, glaring at David. They pulled out knives and attempted to stab him. David twisted his body, dodging the knife, and grabbed the man's arm. The man spun in the air, falling square to the ground. I like this picture. Seeing this, the other man approached David more carefully, while the first one picked up his knife and got up again. Afraid for their lives, Susanna screamed. Help! Someone, help us! Susanna, go call Mr. Holly. I can't. There's two more men on the other side. It's like your nightmare. David shivered as he saw two more men running their way. The two assailants ran away the moment they noticed the two figures approaching. Susanna turned towards the two men approaching them, who turned out to be Clark and Vince. So yeah, just like in the other timeline, Clark and Vince saved David and Susanna. Just a little different. Hey, you alright? Those guys had knives. We're fine, thanks. For a while we thought you were with them. Do we look like murderers to you? Don't answer that. We heard a scream and we came running. It could have turned real ugly real fast. I'm grateful, I mean it. Would you mind telling us what brought that on? Those men were armed. We should inform the police. They're just on a little date themselves, having a nice chat. I don't know what to say. They didn't say a word. They just took out their knives and assaulted us. They must have really have it in for you. This is my first time in this town. I've never done anything that would make people hate me to death. Are you with the police? Nah, I'm just curious. Maybe they just figured a couple walking alone in the night would be easy to mug. Anyway, be careful on your way back. Yeah, him and Vince were just having a nice stroll. Susanna thanked Clark, holding David's hand tight as they left. Clark and Vince stayed there for a while, making sure nothing else happened. My gut tells me the purpose of our investigation is giving someone the info they need to find and kill David. We'd better find out more about our client before they take away our license. Chief, could it be our client is related to those northern tribes, and that they believe David is a descendant of this Devil King? I mean, who else would want him dead? There's no proof of that, but it might very well be. As much as I hope not. David and Susanna returned to the Holly household. They did not mention the incident. The rest of the night was luckily uneventful. David and Susanna woke up early in the morning and set off. Their car drove past the hills of Manchester, towards Haworth. David, those men who attacked us were from the northern tribes. Their bloodlines survived throughout history to this very day. So I might actually die if I don't become the Devil King, like King Cross said. I don't know what to expect anymore. I'm going to keep you safe. I'll get in contact with friends of my mother's. They're sorcerers. They'll help us find the King of the North. Everything's going to be fine once he's dead. So unlike the other timeline where we knew who and where the King of the North is, we still don't know. Neither David nor Susanna nor the detectives know at this point in time. Murder is wrong. I'd rather talk to the police about this. Murder is wrong. They're not gonna believe you. If you mention anything about the Devil King or the King of the North, they're just gonna send you to the psychiatric ward. It would be the end of Elenovision. Besides, the northern tribes aren't an army. We can take care of it ourselves. You know, those two men who saved us, there's something off about them. Their timing was a little too perfect. And I feel like I've seen them before. Yes, I have the feeling they've been following us for a while. But forget about them. You were so cool when you dodged that knife. I surprised myself. I was never good in a brawl, not even as a kid. Maybe it's the power of the Devil King. But you were so cool. She's just fangirling about the Devil King. It could be. If you have his power, you should be fine even if the northern tribes attack you again. David and Susanna finally reached Haworth late in the afternoon. There was no real town there, it was mostly a rural village with wild pastures used by farmers to raise their sheep. David's car followed the road that went through the wilderness up and down the hills. Eventually they reached a small old fortress. I should let that picture last. I'm bad about... because I keep thinking I'm gonna see the picture throughout more text. The car passed through a stone gate and then stopped. Susanna took out a key and unlocked the gate and stepped inside with David. Mr. Lands is supposed to be here. Maybe he's out shopping. When you said you lived in the countryside, I was expecting a farmhouse, not a castle. Everything looks clean. Does anyone live in it? Mr. Lands and his wife look after it. They did some extra cleaning just for us. Let's go up to the roof, David. The view there is fantastic. To look at this is familiar. Susanna led David up the stairs to the rooftop. Look, prairie as far as the eye can see. Not even a single tree. The northern tribes will never catch us by surprise. It's like a castle in the middle of nowhere. Come to think of it, Susanna, I think I've seen it before. Have you been to Haworth in the past? I remember now. It was one of my visions. King Hroth and Lefir were at the top of a castle. It wasn't just wilderness back then, though. There was a lot of green, fields, and houses. It was very similar to this view. If this was actually the castle of King Hroth, then the so-called King of the North would be north from here. It could be Edinburgh or even further north. Maybe King Hroth used his forbidden arts to flood the wilderness and turn them into lush fields. When you think about it, with modern technology you can bring water to a desert and make it arable. If you were to become the Devil King, you could use the forbidden arts to cover the world with green. Not even King Hroth had that kind of power. Now that we're safe, I suddenly feel tired. Is there a room where I can lie down? Oh, I'm so sorry. We've been driving all morning. I should have noticed you'd be tired. My room should be ready for our use. Susanna guided David to her room. It was clean and decorated with flowers. Exactly. It'd be really cool if you became the Devil King, David. Then you could do really cool things, like, make the world green. That's what Devil Kings do. David laid on the bed without even undressing. Meanwhile, Susanna went downstairs to get their luggage. He did not notice falling asleep, but he was awakened by voices coming from outside the window. Warily, he got up, approaching the window. He couldn't believe his eyes. There were a mob of peasants carrying swords, spears, and other weapons. Some were shooting arrows, but the shooters were too far away for them to reach him. A man, fully dressed for battle, shouted at David. We told you never to come back to the castle. Why have you returned? The King of the North will be upon us soon. If you won't leave before he's here, he'll kill us all. The King of the North used his power to subjugate the land. Your magic won't work. Look, it's all barren wasteland now. We chose to live here nonetheless, because we didn't want to fight. Leave, hurry. The peasants surrounding the castle were all shouting at him. Also, yeah, this game makes like weird piercing noises. David was unable to reply. Then he heard a voice coming from behind him. Oh, I was getting into the action music. David turned around. There was a large man wielding a sword. Oh, I forgot what voice I gave him. So you're... No, it was not that. So you're the one who has inherited the blood of the Devil King. I am the King of the North. The King of the North? How did you come here? With my magical prowess, I'm able to go anywhere I want. I wish to test your skills, but it seems death will soon be upon you. I don't know if we ever had this talking portrait for King of the North before. I think this might be new. Well, he looks like a Muppet. To me, he looks like a Mr. Potato Head. I posted a picture on Blue Sky, like pointing out exactly what he looked like, that reminded me of a Mr. Potato Head. I keep hearing that we're supposed to fight, but I don't care about any of this nonsense. Can't we just lay these old grudges to rest? If the Devil King is revived from your blood, my own bloodline will be severed, and I shall be erased from existence. If you truly wish to end this ancient grudge, you must cut off your bloodline. I can't use magic like you do, but the power of the Devil King always emerges to save me. There's no point in fighting. Why can't we be friends? If the Devil King is reborn, I will stand no chance. I must kill you now before it is too late. I like his head in this shot. The King of the North pointed his sword at David and chanted the spell. Ah! David collapsed on the floor, writhing in pain while holding his head. Huh. Begone, Devil King. You must have thought that I would fight with my sword, but you should have known I could cast spells. By my power, the blood of the man called David shall boil. Let the blood of the Devil King be purged from this world. Ah, my body burns. It is almost over. Rest in what? Curses, it must be that witch Susanna. David felt something cold touching his face, but his entire body was burning, and his head felt like it was splitting apart. David, hang in there. Susanna was wiping David's head with a towel. Hearing the scream, she was joined by a man and a woman shortly after. Mr. Lands, I think he has a fever. He needs medicine. The man hurried downstairs. There was nothing wrong with him, but all of a sudden he has a fever. Could it be a spell? Miss Emily, please bring me some Chamonix. Chamonix, the sorceress water? Does that mean that Mr. David is... Yes, I'll fetch it right away. Emily went downstairs just as Mr. Lance made his return. I'm glad I brought this medicine kit. Thinking you might stay here for a while. Here, this should bring his fever down. Susanna tried giving David his medicine, but he was gritting his teeth from the pain and wouldn't take it. Take your Susanna pills. Emily returned, gasping for breath. She brought a small bottle filled with liquid. Susanna, are these the symptoms? This is the Chamonix water your mother made. It's a little old, but it was kept safely in the basement's medicine cabinet. Susanna poured water from the bottle onto a towel. Then she began to wipe David's body. David's pain seemed to ease up. He opened his mouth, gasping for air. I think he's safe now. David must have been hit by a northern spell. I agree. Chamonix water is only so effective against northern sorcery. We need to find out the identity of the King of the North before they try to kill him again. The Dark Sorcerers are gathering tonight, but they found no information on the King of the North. I'm afraid we won't be able to find him for the time being. There's still hope. The client of those detectives who have been following me should be of the northern tribes. If we can catch them and interrogate them, we may be able to find some clues. David called out Susanna's name as he gasped for air. Susanna hurried to his side as he was regaining consciousness. Susanna, I'm alive. David, you're awake. Oh, I'm so glad. I had another nightmare. The King of the North was there. I thought I'd die for real this time. The King? David, you saw the King of the North? Yeah, and I hope I never see him again. I'll never forget his face. He tried to kill me with a spell. The King of the North himself can use magic. We never knew about that. So the King of the North of this era is a sorcerer. If he truly is a sorcerer, he'd never show himself openly. Still, he should have other mages under his command. We must find one of them. They probably call themselves the Mages of the North. We should focus our searches on the most famous mages of England. Susanna, who are these people? Oh, I haven't introduced them yet. These are Mr. and Mrs. Lands. They were out for groceries when we arrived. My name is David. I'm sorry to have caused you this much trouble. After exchanging greetings, David felt tired once again and closed his eyes, quickly falling asleep. Susanna lit a candle. The sun went down and it was dark outside. Mr. and Mrs. Lands left the room, but Susanna stayed with David. So I think we're coming up close to our new choice. It was a dark night, and there was no illumination in the wilderness. The few stars in the sky cast a shadow on the castle of the castle on the ground, where Clark and Vince were lurking. Are you really going inside the castle, Chief? This is trespassing, you know? It's only trespassing if you get caught. 3 cars went inside the castle. Don't you want to know what's going on? Well, yeah, I guess. One thing's for sure. It's not a Lenovision. I saw a middle-aged couple. Definitely not part of David's music circle. There's no electricity, so it's only oil lamps and candles in there. At the very least, they won't be able to see my face clearly. The client told us not to go inside, though. There's definitely something bad going on. And you heard what our colleagues said about them. Think about it. The client is a fortune teller and they're willing to spend a ton of money on this investigation. That means they're the There's a mastermind behind this. We've come this far. I'm going in there. You stay here and wait for me. Wait here, alone in the dark? No way, I'd rather come with you. But let's not go in too deep. The castle gates were not locked, so Clark and Vince could enter without issue. Candles were lit over the corridor walls, so they did not need to turn on their flashlights. There's no candles in the other corridors. Maybe this is where they went through. There's only one common room. No point in lighting candles if you're not going that way. Clark and Vince turned right, then left. Eventually they reached the closed door. I don't think there's anyone inside. Let's open it. Be ready to run in case there's someone in there. Clark pushed the door gently. It was not locked, but it made a loud creaking noise. I think it leads to the basement. The candles are lit, so someone's been down there. Let's go. Clark and Vince followed the stairs down. The basement was large, filled with objects. We got the wine cellar picture again! At the end of the path, they could see a door illuminated by candles. Sorry, I love the wine cellar picture. Clark stopped in front of the door. He took a deep breath, then he opened it cautiously. Beyond the door was a dark room, but with a single lit candle. Clark made his way inside. Right then, Clark and Vince were hit on the head with a stick. They fell to the floor. So here's the thing, they're investigating the castle that we're in. Meanwhile, David had been nursed back by Susanna. As they sat by a lit candle, they talked about the King of the North. I'm really glad you're feeling better now. I had no idea the King of the North could use magic. Can a spell truly kill a man? I definitely was in pain, but I thought it was just another one of my nightmares. Some spells are similar to hypnosis, but they can be cast on someone from a distance. They require great concentration, so the King of the North must be spent right now. I was having already too many nightmares due to the blood of the King of Hroth. I'm not sure I can take it if the King of the North is going to give me nightmares as well. I don't want any more nightmares. If it's impossible to run away from it, maybe you should become the Devil King after all. That would mean killing people from the northern tribes. That would make me a murderer. I'd have to spend the rest of my life on the run from the police. Calm down, David. Being agitated isn't good for your health. Plus, we cover it up. Right then, Emily came into the room. She approached Susanna and whispered into her ear. The sorcerers, friends of my mother, have gathered. David, come with us. You can talk to them. You may be able to learn something about the power of magic. I'll come since you asked, but I'm not sure I'd like to become a sorcerer. Why? It's so cool. That one guy made a ball float in the air and shit. I'm only an apprentice, but if you became the Devil King, you'd be the leader of all dark sorcerers. Don't let the name fool you, they're all good people. She's been ride or die since, the very beginning. Susanna held David's hand and led him downstairs. They walked through a dark corridor, lit only by candles, and reached the basement. As soon as they walked through the door, 4 men and 1 woman bowed to David. They were not greeting him as the lead vocalist of Elenovision, but as the Devil King. Well, to be honest, the bleeding was our fault. Susanna approached the table placed in the middle of the room, and the sorcerers gathered around it. It's a regular sorcerer's swinger ball. David, this is Thomas Simon. This is his wife, Lisa. These are the Burrows, and Rivas. And this is Greg. See, Greg's not dead in this timeline. We did it. Each one of them has earned the title of Dark Sorcerer. My name is David. I'm sorry you all had to come all the way here just for me. Huh. I didn't get the Susanna dialogue. The Dark Sorcerers live to assist the Devil King. Don't worry about it, David. Now let the meeting begin. David, do you recognize the man in this picture? Have you seen him in one of your dreams? David looked at the photo. He had never seen him before. It was like Gomez Adams, but evil. This is the man who hired those detectives to follow you and your colleagues during your tour of Europe. The lads told us about how the King of the North cast a terrible spell upon you. How did that happen? Where did he come from? Well, in my nightmare, the castle was surrounded by armed peasants, yelling at me to leave. And then, the King of the North appeared in my room. He must have sent you that nightmare himself, in order to appear before you and cast a spell. So the nightmare warding ring was ineffective against the King of the North. So the ring was a nightmare warding ring, but it was ineffective. What if next time he sends another nightmare? We also enter the dream world and fight him? Is that a thing you guys can do? There's no guarantee we can defeat him with our magic. If we were to lose, David's life would be forfeit. The King of the North sent a nightmare, entered it, and then cast a spell from within. None of us are capable of a similar feat. That is, unless David were to become the Devil King. Our only choice is to find the King of the North and kill him with our weapons. First, we must interrogate those detectives we captured, and find out where their client is. This has been a fun one because I'll tell you, I'll break kayfabe for a second. My name is David. I think that's known because of the Extra Life streams, but they've been captured. Have they said the name of their client? They wouldn't say, not even with a truth serum. They could be descendants of the northern tribes. Our only choice is to borrow the power of the Devil King and cast a spell to find out. That was terrible. That was a terrible spell. Boys. I'm no sorcerer. I can't cast any spells. I've only ever had nightmares and visions. Susanna, help me out here. I could be. They'll be fine. Greg, bring them here. Greg approached the wardrobe in the corner of the room and opened its doors. They shoved them in the wardrobe? He pulled out Clark and Vince, whose hands were tied behind their backs, and brought them over. I had a feeling it would be you lot. Why won't you tell us the name of your client? This is a matter of life and death for us. Is this how you repay us for saving your asses? A detective never reveals the name of his client. I'm a professional. His name is Greg Simon. I'm willing to kill you to find out. We could easily find out using the powers of the Devil King, but that would leave you crippled for life. The Devil King, huh? We've been hearing that name a lot, but we still don't know who that is. How about you introduce us? I'm telling you, we know nothing about this King of the North or the Devil King business. Chief, I think she's serious. I don't want the Devil King to curse me. I don't know anything about them, but you know the client. Just tell them. Shut the hell up. I'll never betray a client. It's a matter of pride. Go ahead and kill me if you want. And don't bother with truth serums. I'm trained to resist them. David, we need your help. Please drink this. It's a sleeping medicine. Once your blood has been quelled, I'll use the spell to draw out the power of the Devil King and get everything we need to know from them. You mean you can use magic? Susanna, did you get close to me because of the blood that flows in my veins? No, I got close to you because I loved you. I've had dreams about you ever since I was born. I loved you all my life. Weird. The only reason I've been hiding the truth was to protect you from the King of the North. Besides, what if I told you about the Devil King during our first meeting? You would have thought I was crazy and stayed away from me. Please, you have to trust me. Drink this. In truth, David was not particularly surprised by the revelation. It was true that if not for Susanna, he would have been killed by the King of the North, or possibly sent to a psychiatric ward. However, he knew that using the spell to force the truth out of the detectives would cripple them, or even kill them outright. They're part of the Northern Tribes. King Hroth said that the sight of their blood would awaken the Devil King. You wouldn't have to fear the King of the North any longer. David believed Susanna's words, but the idea of killing the detectives made him hesitate. Alright, so this is the first major choice on this branch. From each decision, there will be eventually another choice, leading to 2 endings each choice. Did I save this right? The music ended and it made me weird. So I checked out the long play because I wanted to see what they did, because I wanted to make sure I was on like the right track. So that we wouldn't waste too much time like going back through things. They never showed what this choice did. So I'm very curious what this choice does. I know it's gonna be bad. We're gonna kill the detectives. Temporarily. The proper timeline we won't. Okay? But for the sake of seeing all the content, we're going to kill the detectives. I know we've learned to love Clark and Vince. I love temporarily killing people. Fire Mountain, are you Susanna? I love to cast Devil King spells and watch them squirm and get crippled for life. Devil King plot demands sacrifices. No, take these pills. Alright, so each chapter has these big loading screens. What's happening is it's actually copying the CD data to the second floppy disk to help with loading. And then the fan translation has changed the floppy disk type from double density to high density, which means there's more data that has to transfer. And we're talking 1 time CD-ROM speed, so it's very slow at it. The PC-88 was probably never meant to have CD-ROM capabilities. There's only 1 model, I think, of the PC-88 that you can attach the CD-ROM drive to. Maybe there's 1 model that you can attach the ROM drive to, and there's 1 that comes with a CD-ROM drive. So there's not a whole lot of models of PC-88s that can do this. So even making a game for PC-88 CD, you're only targeting a very small niche of your audience, which is why a lot of it was like compilation CDs. Was like, here's all the Ease games or something, you know. without having to have like a shit ton of floppy disks. To make a completely original game on CD-ROM, and this is only on CD-ROM, it's only on PC-88 CD and FM Towns. The FM Towns version came out later. Clark and Vince gasped as David took the pills. So I've never seen this because this is not in the long play that I checked. I only briefly viewed the long play, but yeah, they never show this choice. Chief, they're actually doing the sorcery stuff. What's gonna happen to us? It's just hypnotism, or hypnosis. When they chant their spells, think of something else and you'll be fine. Hypnosis is especially effective when you're scared. At any rate, you don't actually know anything. You'll be fine. Under the effects of the pills, David's consciousness faded. Then Susanna turned to Clark and Vince. We're ready to summon the power of the Devil King. You will die the moment I chant the spell. Are you going to tell us about your client or not? You think I'm gonna fall for this bullshit? Go ahead and do your magic trick. See if I care. Susanna turned towards David and started chanting the spell. Vince covered his ears. How'd he cover his ears? His hands are supposed to be tied. Then David opened his eyes, staring at Clark and Vince. Susanna was still chanting. Ah, my body, it burns. My hands, my legs, I can't move. That's an awful face. What the hell? This isn't hypnosis? Vince, run! Ah, it burns. Clark, what is the client's name? You will tell us his address. The Devil King orders you. I'll never tell. What kind of detective would I be if I told you John Jeff's name? Another person with two first names. John Jeff. What does Jeffs do? Where is he? He can't help it. I'm burning. Help. I don't know that Jeff's a fortune teller. I can't tell you that he works in the back of the Gucci store on Bond Street. Oh no, Vince! I don't know anything. Help! Blood on my hands, my face. It won't stop pouring out. I'll tell you everything I know. Just make it stop. My blood's gushing out. Help! I'll tell you about the client. Please. The clothes of Clark and Vince were soaked red. Blood was overflowing from their shoes, spilling onto the floor. Well, we'll see. We'll see how these endings turn out, Kurislachi. As the blood flowed from the top of their heads, they looked like red ogres of folklore. They turned to look at one another and collapsed, writhing in agony. Clark and Vince were literally drowning in a pool of their own blood. Eventually, not even a drop of blood was left in their veins. In death, they had found the relief they longed for. That's it for Clark and Vince in this timeline. Excluding Susanna and the unconscious David, the other sorcerers in the room had retreated into a corner, terrified. They're dead. What frightens you so? You can't call yourself dark sorcerers and be afraid of a little blood. She's loving this, by the way. Susanna scolded Mr. and Mrs. Lands. Then she turned to David and chanted the spell to wake him up. David, look at the floor. Your power has drained the blood out of them. If they are with the northern tribes, the sight of their blood will awaken the power of the Devil King. David nodded and turned towards the floor. They're dead. Who could do such a terrible thing? When he realized that everyone was staring at him, he began to scream in a panic. Good evening, Blombo. Welcome to to this. These are the bodies of 2 detectives that were trailing us. All their blood doesn't exist in their body anymore. It's now outside their body. You mean to say that I did it? There's no way. I'd never kill someone. I'd never do something so terrible. Yeah, this one's translated. This is but a small portion of the power that lies dormant in your blood. If you tapped into the full power of the Devil King, you could change the world. I don't want it. I never wanted this horrible power. Oh yeah, we did very much kill them. Let's have a better scene. Let's just cut back to Susanna. It's too late, David. Now that you've seen the blood of the Northern Tribes, the power of the Devil King will manifest itself. Then you'll be able to kill the King of the North. I'd rather he killed me than become a murderer. Please don't make me kill other people. Susanna, you knew this would happen. That's why you gave me those pills. You said you loved me, but all you really wanted was the power of the Devil King, didn't you? Oh boy, to make a long story short, we are David, lead singer of a band called Vision, who has terrible nightmares. When we go to our European tour, our manager is killed and Susanna takes her place. Our nightmares get worse, and that leads to like real world murders and weird things happening. Eventually our nightmares start turning into visions, and we start learning more about this Devil King, who David is a descendant of. Susanna is a sorceress who wishes to revive the Devil King. There, that's a good summary, right? Hijinks ensue. I'm a murderer. You tricked me into becoming one. What am I gonna do now? What am I, Oh yeah, we got to go around France and Germany and Italy. We gambled, we got to have restaurants, we played concerts where people started ripping their own face off sometimes. To be fair, that did stop happening after the first time. David screamed, clutching his head, before dropping to the floor motionless. So do we know if Clark is a Northern tribesman? He did say he knew Connors and the Archbishop, as he knew Connors was an altar boy. The sight of the two corpses in a pool of blood was too much for him. He had a mental breakdown and fainted. He's not used to these sights like we are. It must have been too much for him. Please, bring him to my room. He hasn't recovered from the King of the North spell. He'll feel better about a good night's sleep. By then, the power of the Devil King will have manifested itself. And this is all we wanted, right? It's perfect. What do you know about their client, this Jeffs? He must know about the King of the North. He probably knows about me as well as about Mr. and Mrs. Lands. We'll stay here while the rest of you go capture him. He might run away once he realizes he can't get in contact with the detectives. We must go now. Take care of David while you're gone. While we're gone. Will do. I'll keep watch from the roof of a rifle. I won't let anyone approach before you're back. Greg and the others left in the car. Okay, so we are on the killed detectives path. How's everyone feel about killing two characters who we actually played as, partly, in the game? Helped by Lance, Susanna brought David back to her room. They laid him on the bed, and he immediately fell asleep. David was sleeping like a corpse. Mr. and Mrs. Lands went home to prepare for their guard duty. You feel normal about killing your previous incarnations? Cool. Hey, Monty. Clearly we're the real antagonists. I'm rooting for the Northern King now. Well, we had that ending where the Northern King blew us up with grenades. Really funny ending, that. He like walks in and he's like, I don't need just spells to kill you. Modern weapons are good enough. After we've been blown to smithereens. Hello, Eerie Gray. Welcome to this. Welcome to Mirrors. We're currently chasing after the last 4 endings. Out of 7. Susanna also left the room. She was gathering the tools she needed to cast a spell that would protect David from the King in the North. After a while, David came to his senses. He was alone in the room. Yeah, that's kind of... They had both killed to get what they want, and... Well, you know... That just happened. The detective's getting killed. While Susanna's like, isn't this wonderful? This is the true power of the Devil King. He looked around. The room was illuminated by candles. This is Susanna's room. So I was sleeping. But what about those corpses? Was it another nightmare? Yes, Dave, it was just a nightmare. Everything's fine. Susanna's a dark sorceress. She killed them to revive the blood of the Devil King in my veins. Those 2 detectives and their clients are northern tribesmen. Nightmare or not, something's about to happen. Oh, well, welcome. Glad you came in from YouTube. Yeah, I'm Snake Man, but I captain the Dream Harrier, which is a ship that flies through gaming space. And Dream Harrier Live is the live stream that we do. I am part of a group, but usually I stream by myself a lot of the time. I must talk to Susanna. If she really is a dark sorceress, then... David felt uneasy about seeing Susanna. The nightmare caused him to feel different about her. She was like totally into killing those people. He lit a lamp and walked out of the room. Oh, thank you for the follow. He had not learned the layout of the castle yet. He went downstairs, entering the dining room. The candles in the dining room were lit, but Susanna was not there. I love Bubble Bobble. He returned to the corridor. For some reason, he recalled his nightmare. In my dream, at the end of the corridor, there was another path to the right. As if to confirm whether it was merely a dream, David walked down the corridor. Then he saw a light coming from his right. The moment he turned right, he felt as if he was back in his nightmares. Candles were lit along the walls. At the end of the corridor was a door, the same door he saw in his nightmare. In my nightmare, beyond that door, there were stairs that led to the basement. Am I still dreaming? David ran down the corridor and stopped in front of the door. Then he opened it. As he feared, there were stairs that led to a basement, lit by candles. David walked down the stairs. It's the wine cellar picture again! I get hype every time I see that picture. When he reached the door, he stopped to think. If this is like my nightmare, beyond this door would be 2 men lying in a pool of blood. Susanna and the sorcerers. David was afraid to open the door. He would rather go back, but something compelled him to see the truth with his own eyes. All right, so this is the branch that determines the two endings for the kill detectives. Let me go drop a save state. So we're gonna do both of these. So let's open the door. What's the worst that could happen? He opened the door. Oh, we're back to this picture. Lovely. It was just like his nightmare. The floor was covered in blood, which was wetting David's feet. At the center of the grisly pool were the corpses of two men. Unlike his nightmare, neither Susanna nor the sorcerers were present. Instead, there was a young man standing beside the corpses. David, these two people you killed were not northern tribesmen. The Devil King must witness the blood of the northern tribes. You fucked up. Who is he? David thought. He knows about the northern tribes. Could he be the Devil King? Are you a dark sorcerer? Or are you the Devil King? Me, the Devil King? Surely you must know he lurks in your veins, waiting to witness the blood of the northern tribes. What are you afraid of? How could you cry out at the mere sight of a commoner's blood? That happened in a dream, David thought. Nobody else should know about it. So this must be another dream. This is a dream, isn't it? There's only two men who always torment me in my dreams. The King of the North and the Devil King. If you're not the Devil King, then you must be the King of the North. I am not the King of the North either. You were trying to convince yourself you were inside a nightmare because you have killed two men. But I assure you, this is reality. Touch these corpses, taste their blood, face the truth. Who are you? Show yourself. Can you not tell? I am the man who longs to acquire the power of the Devil King in order to kill the King of the North and live happily ever after with Susanna. I am David. You are David? Quit screwing around. Susanna loves me, and I love her. Why do you want to make her happy? Do you really love her as you claim you do? Do you not feel love for Susanna the sorceress? But I am you. I am the David who can love Susanna unconditionally. She can kill. I don't care. Yeah, you walked into a wild fucking bonkers game. I haven't had a chance to put the VODs up yet, because I still had a backlog. The man turned towards David. David looked at the man's face. He tried to speak, but no words would leave his mouth. That's because that man's face was the same face he always saw in the mirror. I am David. Unless the pathetic, cowardly David disappears, Aleno Vision is going to disband. He's the cooler David. If you're David, then who am I? You are David and I am David. The only difference is that I will never stop loving Susanna, while your love for her is dying down. The other David approached him, holding a knife. David was terrified by his other self. He tried to run away, but his legs would not move. The other David raised the knife. Paralyzed by fear, David closed his eyes and screamed. Yeah, it's a hard one to Google. Definitely Google it. Mirrors PC-88, PC-88. You'll either get the translator notes for this translation. There's also a long play from Nintendo World on YouTube, which I think might be the only one of only two videos on YouTube about mirrors. There's also a Basement Brothers video about mirrors, but I didn't watch that because they go into the story, and it's also an older Basement Brothers video, which you know, they got better. Then he heard Susanna's voice coming from far away. Susanna, help me. No, I love this David more. He says killing is okay. David, wake up. David felt his body being shaken, opened his eyes. It was Susanna. Oh, you got an anime VTuber girl playing mirrors? Sick. I didn't find that one. I'm in bed, David thought. It was another dream. I don't think I've seen that picture of David before. That was interesting. There's nothing to fear now, David. We did what we had to do to survive. He did not understand the meaning of Susanna's words. What do you mean by what we had to do? We killed the two detectives. We had no other choice if we wanted to awaken the power of the Devil King. So it wasn't a nightmare. But Susanna, those two were not Northern tribesmen. What? They weren't. It's going to be alright. Greg and the others captured their client, Jeffs. He's in the basement. He is definitely a Northern tribesman. Come on, let's go see. He's definitely this one for sure. Don't tell me that you want to kill him as well. I don't want to kill anyone else, Susanna. Let's run away together. We could go to Japan. Surely the King of the North can't reach us there. No. He'd never stop hunting us. We need to kill him. If we miss this chance, our children will never be safe. I saw it in my dream. The Devil King will kill me and reincarnate as another David. How could you try to revive him knowing that I'll be gone? Susanna's on, she's got one job. You saw it in a dream. My mother never said anything about that. When the blood of the Devil King is revived, you'll obtain his power. That's it. Now come. It's all that will happen, don't worry. No, I won't. I don't want to be a murderer. Besides, if I see the blood of the Northern tribesmen, I'll become the Devil King. I'll stop being me. You're coming with me, David. They're all waiting for you. You have no choice in this matter. Susanna pulled David out of the room. The corridor was bright, as if the night had passed. Why do you want me to kill people, Susanna? You never loved me, did you? You only ever wanted the power of the Devil King. I'm not coming with you. David shook Susanna off and fled in the direction opposite of the basement. He heard Susanna calling out to him, but she did not seem to be following him. David ran down the hallway. He kept running, trying to reach the wall he could see ahead. However, he was not getting any closer to it, as if he were simply stomping his feet on the spot. He was getting tired. He stopped running and looked back. Nobody was chasing him. He made his way back and stopped, dumbfounded. The wall he had been trying so hard to reach was right in front of him. There was a door in it. David pushed the door without hesitation. With a creaking noise, it opened. When he saw the room, he was left speechless. It was the same room he had been sleeping in. Every item, every piece of furniture was in the same place. Even his own luggage was there. As if sleepwalking, He made his way inside. When I left the room, Susanna didn't chase me, David thought. Maybe I'm under the effects of a hypnotic spell. I ran so much, but I'm back where I started. David felt a presence and turned towards the entrance. It was dark outside the room with only candles breaking the darkness. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning lit up the corridor, a sound so loud that it felt like the heavens themselves had split. Then, there was a figure in front of the entrance. David, I have come for you. Come with me to the basement and witness the blood of that man. As the lightnings kept flashing, David was able to see the face of the man. It was the other David, the one he met in the basement. If you're the real David, why don't you go to the basement? Why do I have to go? Because there should not be two Davids. Only by witnessing the blood of the northern tribes will we become one. If you will not do so, then you must vanish. His other self approached him, brandishing a knife. David tried to dodge the knife, but its aim was true. It pierced his heart. Oh, they used the scream sound effect. Arg! Oh, there it is. David's scream echoed throughout the room. Then he opened his eyes. It was another nightmare, David thought. Is this reality or am I still dreaming? He was losing his mind thinking about it. He decided to lie on the bed and close his eyes, trying to calm down. You were trying to kill one of my tribesmen. My curse may have failed, but now that I am here, I shall run my sword through your heart. It's the King of the North! The King of the North appeared in his room. He approached David, brandishing his sword. David stood up, looking for a chance to flee. When the King of the North had lowered his guard, he made his move. It's like he keeps falling asleep and getting killed. Wakes up, falls asleep, gets killed. Oh, the good picture's back. But then he heard King Frost's voice inside his head. You cannot defy fate, David. If you wish to defeat the King of the North, you must witness the blood of the northern tribes. Without the powers of the Devil King, the King of the North will kill you. The one who stands before you is but a shadow. Focus your eyes on the sword, and he will not be able to kill you. Go to the basement. Susanna is waiting for you. Hurry. The King of the North aimed his sword at David's chest. At that last moment, he was able to dodge the strike. Then he tackled his assailant. So this might be David realizing he has no choice in the matter. He had expected some kind of impact, but the King of the North must have been an illusion. He passed through him and tumbling into the corridor. In a frenzy, he hurried down the stairs. Fearing that a sword could pierce his back at any moment, he kept running down the corridor. At the end, he turned right and reached the door at the end where he stopped. It's the door that leads to the basement, David thought. Did the Devil King lead me here? No, I can't open it. When he turned around, intent on going back, he saw a knife right before his eyes. You've come this far. Why turn back? You must go to the other basement, David. Or go to the basement, David. Do it or I'll kill you. So if you killed one David, do you still exist? Like, what happens? You take over the body? David shook off the knife, pushing his other self away and ran away. He could think of nothing else. He had to run. As he approached the dining room, he saw the King of the North, sword in hand, coming down the stairs. Oh, you just gotta stop running, David. And so David ran. He ran, he kept running. He eventually reached the door that led to the courtyard. He opened the door and jumped outside without even stopping to look. I do like the King of the North, this big potato man. Sit still so I can impale you. It was dark outside the castle, stars dotting the sky. David looked around and his heart almost gave out from the shock. This isn't the garden. It's the same town from my nightmares. Either I'm dreaming or this is an illusion created by magic. On the verge of a mental breakdown, David screamed at the empty town. As if to respond to his cry, a terrifying, murderous intent swept over him. David was shivering, as if he had been bathed in cold water. He could not stop there. He had to keep running through the town before the source of that bloodlust reached him. He knew the way, as he had been in this town multiple times in his nightmares. Remember when we got lost? If I go this path, the path turns to the left, and then I should go downhill. Then if I turn right and take the next left downhill, I should get to a road where I can see it, where you can see the castle. But David, this just goes back to the castle. If it's like my nightmares, I should be able to reach the castle. The castle. Come to think of it, it was very similar to Susanna's castle. Forgetting about the threat hunting him, David ran through the town from his memories. Then across the wilderness, he could see the castle in the distance. Was the castle from my nightmares Susanna's castle? Was I fated to come here? The moment he stepped into the wilderness, David felt dizzy. Boy, this has been a lot. When he opened his eyes, David was standing in front of Susanna's room. He had been transported from the wilderness to the castle in an instant. How would you even describe this to recommend it to someone? I don't know. All I can say is it's very intriguing and like very stylish and moody. He opened the door and he found Susanna there. You're constantly confused about locations in this game? I think that's like the idea. I've been waiting for you, David. Come on, we have to go to the basement. Everyone's worried because you've been taking so long. Hurry, David. You must witness the blood of that man before the Star of Darkness leaves the planet. Susanna grasped his hand tightly. Enough of this. I don't want to kill anyone. It's okay, I'll do the killing. All of a sudden, the other David appeared at his side. I love this other David. Susanna, there is no choice. We must kill the other David. There cannot be two Davids. The other David approached him, brandishing a knife. Let go of me, Susanna. I must run. If I don't run, he's going to kill me. David tried to pry Susanna's fingers open, but they were stiff as iron and would not budge. The other David raised the knife. Are we dead for realsies? I have no idea where this ending is going. For a bit, we've been going in circles. And we're still going in circles. But I mean, it's definitely like driving David more insane. Like, we're witnessing him like losing his fucking mind. Before he could feel any pain, everything went dark. Did he faint before the knife struck him? He is falling into an abyss of pure darkness. I have a theory based on the thing I saw in the credits. And yeah, okay. David was lying in a hospital bed. Susanna was at his side. Tell me, doctor, will he get any better? Susanna was talking to a doctor from the mental hospital David had been recovering in. She had been taking care of him all this time. He said he's been dreaming for a month now. What's going to happen to him? As you can see from his EEG, his brain activity is abnormal. See how many ripples there are? His brainwaves are in a complete disarray. This is the kind of pattern caused by fear. A nightmare, perhaps. But normally the shock would wake you up instantly. It's as if he's secluded himself in a dream world in order to escape from reality. Sometimes celebrities can't cope with their popularity. Maybe he just wants to be alone. Though these violent brainwaves are not desirable, the silver lining is that even in the worst case scenario, he won't fall into a vegetative state. Doctor, is he able to hear me while he sleeps? Oh, sorry. Picked the wrong thing. While his EEG is calm, he is sound asleep and he won't be able to hear you. He should be able to hear you when his brainwaves are spiking. I must inform you, however, that it will only be a fleeting memory to him. I understand how you feel, Miss Susanna, but please take care of yourself as well. This kind of a condition requires a lot of time and patience. With that, the doctor left. Alone with David, Susanna moved closer to his ear and spoke to him, caressing her belly. David, our baby's growing well. Please wake up soon. I want the three of us to live together. David did not react, but Susanna felt like she heard a voice. And so my bloodline shall carry over. Well done, Susanna. I shall return to the Star of Darkness and rest. I look forward to my return 300 years from now. It's the voice of King Hraf. Once he returns to the Star of Darkness, David will wake up. I'm sure of it. Excited for David's imminent awakening, Susanna started replying to the pile of letters the fans sent David during the stay at the hospital. Okay, I think it's probably gonna load the credits, but we'll double check. But yeah, that's one of the endings. We literally just kind of went comatose from all that craziness. However, it all happened because she is pregnant with our descendant, and King Hraf told her that he'll be back in 300 years. Plombo, this is only one of 7 endings. Also, hello, Elfie Faye. I don't know if I said hi earlier, if you're here. Oh, okay, I thought for a second they were going, oh, all that devil stuff was just a dream. No, it all happened. David just had a breakdown. Yeah, so we watched 3 endings last night. One of them was an ending where there was a guy named Connors who betrayed us and was working for the Northern King, and he stabbed Susanna, but Susanna stabs him at the same time. And since he's also David's dying at this point, and since he's a Northern tribesman, it wakes up the Devil King. The Devil King kills the King of the North, and then David dies. the Devil King dies. So everyone has just died, and all the loose ends are like tied up. Then we've had an ending where the northern tribesmen storm the castle. There's only Mr. Lands to protect them. So that doesn't work, and they get murdered. They get killed with grenades, with the King of the North surviving. And then the other ending we had was that David and Susanna run away, and they do anything they can to like throw everyone off their trail, and they have their child. And since the Dark Star leaves the planet, everything is normal for another 300 years. They even meet the King of the North, but he's not the King of the North because the Dark Star is not there. And the King of the North hears the King of the North hears voices that say, "In 300 years, this begins again," or something like that. Okay. Yeah, I do miss the band. I really thought the band was gonna die, or they were gonna get in on it and they were gonna kill people at the concerts. Anyway, we're gonna load state. We're gonna go back to when David went to the door. You kept thinking Alan was going to die. You really had it out for Alan. All right, so we've gone back. The detectives are still dead. They are behind this door. David, we chose to open the door. We saw the detectives, realized that we became murderers. So what happens if we decide to return to the room and wait for Susanna? Well, we have to have another loading. Alright, so we are now on the path to another ending. We're locked in. I was actually surprised how much there was in that ending. I had a feeling it was going to be the doctor ending. We saw the medical doctor in the cast list, which made me kind of like, oh, they're going to do like a bullshit. It was all in your head, David. You've just been suffering from nightmares ever since Claire's death, the old manager. But no, I'm glad that ending also was like, no, actually all this shit happened. He just actually had a breakdown. I wonder what kept the King of the North from killing him, though. I guess all the sorcerers and Susanna? I'm not sure. We never see Claire, but I think it's Claire. There is a manager that is the manager of the band, and she gets in a car accident the day before the European tour. So like the opening of the game is like having a nightmare, turning on the TV, finding that out, and then like going to your boss in the band, and then when you go to a funeral. Well, actually, the boss actually has like a replacement right then and there before even the funeral. So yeah, like Claire dies and Susanna replaces her, and even David is like, he's like mad because of her death, and he's like, how do we know you didn't have anything to do with it? Like accusing Susanna without any reason, except for, you know, the weird timeliness of it all. Now we know for sure that Susanna did it because that's how she got close to David. David might have like not remembered that part. Like he hasn't brought up that Susanna since he's like, oh, you got close to me because you needed to protect me. Does that mean you killed the last manager? Like he's just like, nah, it's whatever. It's cool. Let's have a baby together. David decided to go back. He was afraid that his nightmare might become reality if he entered the basement. So this is him like not coming to grips with the reality of it. He left in a hurry, as if to run away from the door, and made his way to the door that led to the courtyard. This might be the sorcerer's castles I saw in my nightmares, David thought. If Susanna's a sorceress, like in my nightmares, she'll try to make me a murderer. Sorry, Susanna, but I must leave. David opened the door and stepped out into the courtyard. So he's just running away, plain and simple. Stars dotted the sky. It was as bright as a full moon night. David walked out of the castle gates and ran down the starlit road. I know they have snipers on the roof, but I don't think they would kill David. Out in the wilderness, there were no landmarks. He had no idea how far he had run. Still, he had to keep going, as long as he could breathe. By the time the castle was a small silhouette in the distance, he heard the sound of a car's engine. Then he saw headlights flickering in the wilderness. It's heading for the castle. Is it the sorcerers? Or is it the northern tribesmen? David looked for a place to hide, but there were no trees in sight. He could only run across the prairie, getting as far away from the road as possible. The sound of the car's exhaust was getting closer. The grass around him, at his feet, was illuminated by the headlights, and you could see his shadow in front of him. The car slowed down behind him. Well, someone caught up to David. He could do nothing else. He stopped running, and the car stopped as well. A person got out of the car and approached him. It was a man. When he saw him, David started sweating. He looks just like the man I saw in my nightmare, when they showed me a photo of the detective's client, David thought. Is he Jeff's? Why was he going to Susanna's castle? Once he came closer, he had no more doubts. Jeffs glared at David with a look of suspicion. I was wondering what kind of fool would run alone in the night, and it turned out to be David himself. What are you doing here? Who are you? Jeffs. I lost contact with the detectives I sent to investigate you, so I came here myself. I certainly wasn't expecting to find you out here. I am a northern sorcerer at the service of the King of the North. The Devil King and the Dark Sorcerers are the sworn enemies of the northern tribes. You must die before the blood that flows in your veins is awakened. I don't want to fight the northern tribes. That's why I ran away. Let's stop fighting. I don't care about this ancient history. Do you think the Devil King himself would abandon his quest for revenge just because you wanted nothing to do with it? Don't make me laugh. Oh, Dr. Teflon. You know, we've been watching this game, like, I've been playing it, so I've been most intent, and it's still like a fever dream to me. I think that says a lot about this. You're all insane. You, Susanna, everyone. You're a bunch of psychopaths. Oh, that's a big knife. Before David could push Jeffs away, he pulled out a dagger. Drop that thing. If you try to take my life, the power of the Devil King will manifest and you'll die. I'm serious. Huh, you don't scare me like that. I know more about the Devil King than you do. Don't underestimate a northern sorcerer. Jeffs thrust his dagger towards David. He tried to dodge, but his assailant was skilled. Then he felt a sharp pain and he cried out. Welcome, Raiders! Thank you for the raid, Goron Megazord. What were you up to? Let me give you the shout out. You have walked in on us finding the last couple of endings of this crazy fever dream of a game. Let's see, you were last playing The Legend of Zelda HD Wind Waker. How's that going? While in agony, he thought he heard Susanna's voice. Oh, it's your first time. That's good. I like Wind Waker. I never played the HD version. But I had a good time with it on GameCube. It does feel unfinished though, but like I'm a Mega Man 3 fan, so that doesn't bother me. Yeah, what is this game again? This is Mirrors, a PC-88 visual novel. Um Gosh, I need a quick recap. David is a musician who has terrible nightmares. He goes on tour with a new manager, and the nightmares get worse and start. The real world events start connecting to his nightmares, and then his nightmares point to him being the descendant of the Devil King. And now there's sorcerers trying to kill him, and there's other sorcerers that are trying to resurrect the Devil King. And right now we're in a path that David does not David does not want to be a sorcerer or to become the Devil King, so he's run away. It's gonna get, every time I do that, the brief description of the game is gonna get even more insane. Like every time I have to condense it. That's not even counting the European traveling, the we've gotten 4 endings out of 7. We're on the path to another ending. David, wake up. It's me, Susanna. David opened his eyes. Susanna's face was in front of his. She was holding his hand. What happened to Jeffs? Why are you asking about him? Greg and the others are on their way to capture him. If everything goes well, they should bring him here tonight. Yeah, I don't think there's any game that looks like this. I've seen games with like digitized photos, but there's still something about this. This is the Depeche Mode game. Even like one of the concert songs is just like a poor man's Enjoy the Silence. He wasn't sure what he was talking about, but then he realized he was lying in bed. I don't know. I feel like I've seen some, but they never look like this. The way that it's digitized and the monochromeness, like, I don't know. There's something to this version. It's 4 p.m. You're sleeping like a log, so I figured I'd let you rest. Did you have a nightmare? What about Mr. Lands? He's on the roof with his wife, keeping an eye out for the northern tribesmen. David, is there something wrong? Does your body hurt? My body feels heavy, weak. I feel like crap. David finally realized that what he just saw was another one of his dreams. I get it now, David thought. After I took those pills, the detectives were killed. If they catch Jeffs, they'll kill him too. That's why I had that nightmare. I thought you'd obtained the powers of the Devil King, but it seems they weren't northern tribesmen. But Jeffs is one of them, I'm sure of it. His blood will definitely awaken the Devil King. The memory of the 2 corpses lying in a pool of their own blood made David feel sick. Are you alright? You must be weak because you haven't had anything to eat. I'll go fetch something for you. Wait for me, okay? Once Susanna left the room, David thought once again about the 2 dead men in the basement. Even though I didn't kill them directly, I feel responsible. If I were to cause any more deaths, my heart wouldn't take it. But I can't leave the castle either. I can't face the northern tribes alone. Oh, thank you for the follow. Welcome aboard the Dream Harrier. By the way, I should introduce myself for the Raiders. I'm Snake Man, captain of the Dream Harrier, ship that flies the gaming space. We always look at weird retro or indie games. This is definitely weird and retro. And this is like the studio's first or second game out of 2 that we know about. So you can almost say it's very indie in a way. But I can't leave the castle either. I can't face the northern tribes alone. Greg will come back with Jeff sooner or later. What am I gonna do then? Yeah, I'm gonna do December stuff on Tuesday, so I need to get this done before December happens. David wanted to cry. He curled up into a ball under the covers, but then the King Hroth spoke to him, the voice of King Hroth. David, why do you worry? You must simply follow your destiny. Once you obtain the powers of the Devil King, all of your worries shall disappear. Can't you see the pain in my heart? It's because I'm following this destiny that I'm suffering like this. Yeah, King Hroth is the Devil King from 300 years ago or so, or something. Yeah, I did December last year and had a really good time, except for maybe one game. I have some more Korean games planned for December, and I do want to play some more well-known stuff. Like, I'm thinking of playing the side-scrolling Dukes or even Tomb Raider. Susanna and the Dark Sorcerers are ready to give their lives to protect you, and yet you only worry about yourself. If you fail to defeat the King of the North, the Northern Tribesmen will kill them all. They will kill Susanna. Susanna, the woman who chose to become a sorceress out of love for you. Are you willing to throw her feelings away out of fear? Yeah, the first Tomb Raider's DOS. Which makes it very interesting because it's actually like... It got a patch for 3D effects. So it's one of the few DOS titles that have 3D acceleration. Are you not ashamed of your cowardice, David? If you cannot run away from your destiny, you should run headlong towards it. Lead the fight against the King of the North. Maybe I was wrong, David thought. Maybe I was only worrying about myself. If I'm destined to kill, then I should ready myself rather than curl up into a ball and cry. Ooh, is this the ending where David just like says, fuck it, I'm the Devil King, let's go. David made up his mind, and his worries disappeared. His frustration was quelled, and he was finally calm. King Hroth, I'm going to realize your ancient wish. If it makes Susanna happy, I'll annihilate the northern tribes, become the Devil King, and sever the blood of the King of the North. He's all in on it, yeah! After his proclamation, David felt himself filled with the same power and confidence that he had during his concerts. Take me to this Jeff's guy, I'm gonna fucking decapitate him. Oh, we haven't heard this in a while. All we've had was like creepy music and action music. Chat wants to see Devil King. His mind made up, David jumped out of the bed. In the dark room, the candles flickered. He's so excited! What's the matter, David? You literally jumped out of the bed. Did you have another nightmare? David thought his conversation with King Hroth had lasted only a few minutes, but looking outside the windows, he noticed it was night. He fell asleep while I was cooking. What did you dream about this time? I was scolded by King Hroth, and now I see everything clearly. I feel that fighting against my fate, I'd only end up hurting you. If I'm destined to kill, then so be it. Are you sure you won't regret it? I won't. The moment I accepted my destiny, I started feeling the same way I felt during a concert. Strong, confident. I'm happy to hear that. Greg and the others are waiting for us in the basement. It's time to kill someone again. Greg, you say? Ah, they must have brought Jeff's. What time is it? It's murder o'clock. It's 10 p.m. Are you sure you'll be fine? Jeffs is a northern sorcerer. A moment of weakness and you could die. You have to trust me, Susanna. Don't ask me to run away now. I'm sorry. Silly me having doubts just now that your mind's made up. Oh, so this is a PC-88 game with a CD-Rom attachment. So we had this conversation where I think there's only there's one PC-88 really late that came with a CD-ROM drive. And then there's a PC-88 that you can attach this guy. You can attach a PC Engine CD-ROM drive to. So yeah, this is one of the rare PC-88 games on CD-ROM. So it's not a huge market. Yeah. Like most of the stuff on PC-88 CD-ROM is like compilations or reprints of a game, maybe, so that you didn't have as many discs. But yeah, this is a PC-88 CD or FM Towns exclusive. The FM Towns version came out 3 years later, I think, with different art and stuff. It's handled by a different team. So yeah, pretty obscure as things go, even if you're a PC-88 head. David and Susanna went down to the basement. Inside the room was Jeffs, hands tied behind his back, surrounded by Greg and the other dark sorcerers. When he saw his face, David thought back to his dream. He looks identical, he thought. This is the first time I met him in person. But he's just like the man I saw in my dream. How is that possible? Jeff stared at David in disbelief. How are you alive? I'm sure the dagger pierced your heart. So you were behind that nightmare. Susanna, he's a sorcerer. In fact, I think his sorcery is second only to the King of the North himself. Indeed, I am the Northern Sorcerer. The fact that you survived my incubus curse can only mean you've manifested the power of the Devil King. If only I'd confirmed you carried his blood earlier. No matter. The King of the North will succeed where I've failed. Now tell me, Susanna, why have you brought me here? Yeah, the dream was real, but it was a dream, but it was a spell. But it was a dream. We want you to tell us of the King of the North's whereabouts. We already know you're not going to tell us willingly, so we're going to cast a confession spell. Besides, your spells are too dangerous. We're going to make sure you can never cast them again. Your spells may have been effective on a pair of detectives, but I am a Northern Sorcerer. Do you really believe you will succeed? You may be a Northern Sorcerer, but we are the Dark Sorcerers who have been guarding the bloodline of the Devil King for generations. We will not fail. Take the pills, David. We'll handle the rest. I love pills. I don't need them anymore, Susanna. I'm confident that I can bring out the power of the Devil King just by listening to your incantation. The moment I stopped fearing the sight of blood, I've started feeling the power of the Devil King more and more. He doesn't need them. He's off the pills. Sensing his overwhelming energy, Susanna dropped the pills and began chanting her spell. Jeff stared at Susanna and then scoffed at her. What a fool you are, Susanna! You have failed to notice the change within my consciousness. As I thought, you dark sorcerers are nothing but buffoons. David's body was heating up from Susanna's spell. At the same time, he saw the heat engulfing Jeff's. Susanna ignored Jeff's taunts and kept chanting. Even by borrowing David's power, your sorcery amounts to nothing. You'll never be able to control my consciousness. Her forehead was beaded with sweat. She was starting to lose her nerve from her spell's lack of effect. I've had enough. Have a taste of a real spell. Jeffs chanted a spell, and Susanna's face turned red, as if she had walked into an oven. Unable to withstand the pain, Susanna stopped chanting. Gasping for air, she glared at Jeffs. Shoulda took the pills! Only the King of the North can repel a dark spell. I'm afraid the King of the North is possessing him. You've finally realized it. Now let us put an end to the charade. Eek! Oh, there goes Susanna. Blood gushed out of Susanna's face. Then from her hands, her feet, she collapsed to the floor. The other dark sorcerers started fleeing in panic, but the spell of the King of the North spared no one. In a matter of seconds, they were all lying on the floor, riding in the pool of their own blood. Crying in anger, David jumped at Jeffs, choking him. With his hands tied behind his back, he could not resist. Yeah, why didn't we just stab him? His conscience filled with rage. David was seemingly impervious to the King of the North's death curse. His fingers gouged Jeff's throat. Jeff slumped down to the floor, unable to speak. His life was leaving his body. But it would have been so cool if we used the cool blood spell. David stared at Jeff's blood, then he pointed his bloodied hand south, chanting, no, howling a spell. David, now the Devil King, could easily sense the flow of the spell of the King of the North. His counterspell, fueled by vengeance, followed the magical waves back to the source. He chanted the spell with all of his might. His figure overlapped with that of King Hroth, a demon obsessed with revenge. The next day, a large crowd had gathered at St. Radford's Church in Stratford, south of the castle where these events have occurred. They were mourning the death of the Archbishop, Melis. Alright. A few days later, Alan, Andrew, and Martin were talking to the chief physician of the Heath Mary Mental Hospital in the suburbs of London. Give it to the straight, doctor. Is David ever gonna wake up? Mr. David lived through some things. Mr. David lived through something so traumatic that he was only able to cope by shutting himself in. It would take a shock of similar magnitude to bring him back. At this point, I cannot say when or if he will be able to leave our clinic. Damn it. I can't even imagine what he went through during his vacation. Yeah, we killed the King of the North, but it sounds like we also went into some kind of mental shock. I saw the photos of the scene. It was straight out of a horror movie. If they told me it was a picture of hell, I would believe it. Knock it off, Alan. I lost 20 pounds since I saw the pictures. If it was me in David's place, I would have died of shock. Reportedly, the police found 2 more bodies in the castle's courtyard. It's a complete mystery, but tell me, what's going to happen to Elenovision? Not a business until we find a new vocalist, but I have a feeling we'll never find someone like David. With that said, Elenovision won't break up as long as David's alive. We'll wait until he wakes up and climbs up on the stage again. Oh, I hope he wakes up and he is the Devil King. You said it. I'm a fan of his too. I feel if we were to disband, we'd never be able to listen to his songs again. I feel the same way. Come hell or high water, I want to keep Elenovision alive. Anything to hear Dave sing again. His rage spent, David lost consciousness and never woke up. Was his mind unable to cope with the mighty powers of the Devil King? Or had the sight of Susanna's gruesome death been too much for his heart? Alright, so I think that's ending 3. Or so, I don't know. There are only 2 more endings. So both of these endings ended up with David frozen in a coma. One where Susanna lived and had a baby and they survived the King of the North. And one where Susanna died, they killed the King of the North, and David shut down. But all those endings happened. Like, there were never a vision of David, like dreams. It all happened. David shut down and went to a psychiatric ward because of those actual real ass fucking things that happened. So I'm so glad, because they should have so easily just been like, oh no, David's just crazy. He's been crazy this whole time. He started imagining Devil Kings. Like, the band doesn't know anything about any of this Devil King nonsense. They only heard his, like, dreams every now and then. Like, him talking about them. I dropped the CPU faster. Does it help? I swear this is probably just gonna go to credits. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna time travel. We are going back to when the detectives were captured by the dark sorcerers. If you remember, Susanna told David to take pills so that Susanna could use a spell from the Devil King's power. And that's what we did. But what if we don't want to be involved in the murder? No, more loading. What do you guys think so far? What do you think of the 2 endings we got tonight? So this one I actually know what kind of happened because I did scrub through the long play. So I know what these endings are. But I had never seen the other endings. The ones we just saw or the ones we got yesterday. The detectives got revenge. I guess. And only one of them, Susanna, died. I feel like Susanna is the main culprit of the detective's death. But she's just normal. She's like, here, take your normal Devil King pills. I love David being like, you're a dark sorceress? I guess that makes sense. All this makes sense. At some point, he just starts going with it. The King of the North? Yeah, the King of the North would always try to kill David. As long as the possibility existed of the Devil King rising, he had to make sure that was not a possibility. The 2 detectives had saved his life. David could not possibly inflict mortal pain upon them. David, this could be your last chance to find out who their client is. Yeah, I think the idea is that as long as King of the North knows where he is and has enough mental fortitude to make the spell happen, he could get to David. I guess the idea is that he didn't know that David... Yeah, that's why he sent the detectives, was to figure out if David was the Devil King. I can't do this, Susanna. These men saved their lives. I can't kill them.
The northern tribes may be coming to kill you as we speak. If you were to die, I don't think I could keep going. I've made my choice. Please untie them. Susanna understood that David would not change his mind and asked Greg to untie the two detectives. As Clark and Vince were being untied, David spoke to them. I know you're just doing your job, but your client obviously wants me dead. I want you to promise to stay away from us. That's right. Your client is a murderer. I don't care if you're detectives. If you keep associating with him, we're going to find you and kill you. Because we're also murderers. Oh, I'm so done with him. I am actually a big fan of David's. I'm terribly sorry our work put you in danger. Please forgive us. Name's Clark. I know you saved our lives and all, but I still can't talk about our client. Here, take this. I swear to withdraw from the investigation. I'm a man of my word. Clark took out his notebook and flipped through the pages. Then he wrote something, signed it, and handed the slip of paper to David. Come on, Vince, let's get the hell out of here. And David, see you at your next concert. Big fan. He was bopping at the end. We did convert him to be a fan. So who knows how much of that's the music and how much is that the Devil King's powers? Clark and Vince hurried out the room. David looked at the paper Clark gave him and gasped. David, what did he write? I know, they love David so much. He wouldn't talk about him, but he wrote the client's name and address. They weren't Northern tribesmen. They were actually your fans. I almost did something terrible. After what happened to you, Imagine what would happen if we had killed them. We could never. Everything's fine. At any rate, we know where this man is, and there's no doubt he is with the Northern tribes. Let's go. This time I won't hesitate to take the pills. So not only is okay, the detectives, they're good guys. But also, this time, fuck this guy. I'm taking the pills. Please wait, they know your faces. If they see you approach, they'll run away. Let us deal with this. We'll capture them and bring them to you. I don't know what voice I was doing for Greg's, I lost it. Mr. Lands, you and the others stay here and keep David safe. We must leave now before they realize something's wrong. Susanna, stay alert. We don't know when the King of the North could attack again. Yeah, all these sorcerers showed up and they not have done jack shit. I mean, they grabbed Jeff's. Last time that didn't work out too well. Greg's car drove off at high speed. The headlights faded into darkness. Give me the pills. That night, David was fraught with anticipation and anxiousness. He was considering getting drunk to spend the night, but Susanna gave him sleeping pills instead. More pills. Oh, you should have been here for the last couple endings. There's a lot of car crashing and cars running over sheep. Oh, those poor sheep. Those sheep were evil, though. Possibly due to the sleeping pills, David woke up the next morning feeling refreshed. Susanna, who had been sleeping at his side, was not there. David left the room and went down the stairs. He could smell the fragrance of coffee coming from somewhere. He followed the smell into a large room. In the dining room, he found Susanna cooking. Good morning, David. I was going to wake you up once breakfast was ready. Those pills work great as usual. I slept like a baby. Where's everyone? They're on the rooftop with guns, keeping an eye out for Northern Tribes raids. Mr. Land said we needed to hold the fort until Greg is back. I'm sorry to give you all so much trouble. Because of this blood that flows in my veins, we can't even sit together at the table. I just want to be a big happy family of sorcerers. We're all bound to our fate. We sorcerers are simply following our path. From the moment we were born, we were destined to be different from normal people. So, unless I become the Devil King and defeat the King of the North, we... Erg. David dropped the coffee cup he was holding. He grasped his chest tight and slumped to the floor. Ugh, my chest. It feels like someone's pushing a needle through it. Ugh. Susanna approached David, touching him in order to help him up. David, what's wrong? Does your chest hurt? Don't touch me, it hurts. Someone's pushing a needle through my heart. A needle? It's the King of the North. He's cursing you. David, don't move. I'll be right back. Susanna ran down the corridor that led to the basement. She returned with 4 clay dolls and a heavy book. Susanna drew a compass on the floor with David at the center, and placed the 4 dolls at each cardinal point. Then she opened the book and she began to chant a spell. So if you guys remember last night's ending in the basement, this is the same thing she did to protect David from the spell. She was chanting loudly, towards the wall. Had it been night, the Belmar comet would be visible in that direction. Her forehead was dripping with sweat. Susanna was devoting all of her strength to create a barrier that would protect David from the King of the North spell. David was sickly pale, and his eyesight blurry. In his weak state, he did not react as the soft clay figure started glowing red. Susanna's spell came to an end. Her strength spent, she lost consciousness, collapsing along beside David. The pain faded from David's chest. Understanding that the spell of the King of the North had been broken, he reached out for Susanna. What are you doing, David? You must slay the Northern Tribes. The Star of Darkness will leave soon. Why do you hesitate? You have inherited my blood. Do you not crave the power of the Devil King? Do you wish to succumb to the King of the North? I should have not pinned my hopes on someone unwilling to kill the men of the North. I must entrust my will to a future generation. If the King of the North kills you, he will grow even more powerful. If you are unwilling to kill the Northern Tribes, you leave me no choice. I must kill you myself. When David opened his eyes, he saw King Hroth looming over him. David's body was numb, and he could not move. As if roused by his scream, Susanna opened her eyes. David, are you alright? Yeah. Thanks to you, I can't believe King Hroth is going to kill me. I think King Hroth is just, like, getting impatient. He saw that he didn't kill the detectives, which maybe made him feel like David is, getting cold feet about this whole thing. King Hroth? No, that wasn't him. That must have been a spell of the King of the North. He must have been trying to deceive you. That's also the possibility that the King of the North, used that to try to deceive David. It was after you broke his spell. King Hroth showed up, saying he has no use for someone unwilling to kill the northern tribes. He said he's going to pin his hopes on the next generation. I see. He must be angry because there's little time left. He probably wants you to steal your resolve. Yeah, but maybe King Hroth doesn't see it that way. So now I have not one, but two powerful kings after my life? Susanna, are you alright? You don't look so well. Susanna forced herself to walk to her chair and sit normally. She did not want David to realize just how tired she was. I'm fine. I think I'll make some coffee. It took all of David's strength to raise himself up and sit on a chair. David and Susanna were too tired even to chat. They were sitting on their chairs, looking at each other, waiting for the exhaustion to pass. After a few hours, the room was getting darker. Susanna had finally regained her composure and talked to David. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? I need to turn on the light. Susanna picked up a lamp and turned it on. How do you feel, David? I feel better now, all things considered. I wanted to lie down, but I'm afraid King Hroth will show up again if I fall asleep. Why don't you go get some rest, Susanna? No, I can't do that. What if you're attacked by the King of the North while I'm sleeping? Well, we won't be able to hold out much longer like this. We can't stay awake forever. Who knows what the kings will do if I fall asleep. I'm sick of living like this. At the moment, they could hear the voices of Mr. and Mrs. Lance, who were hurrying their way. Mr. Lance threw the door open. Out of breath, he addressed David. Greg is back. They brought Jeffs, I'm sure of it. At the news, they all hurried outside. Hooray, another sacrifice! Last time it didn't go so well, but this time David said he's taking the pills. And the King of the North had just attacked, which means he might be too weak to stage another attack. David joined the others outside the castle. 4 cars pulled into the yard. Greg got out of his car and opened the trunk. Inside was Jeff's, the man who had hired Clark and Vince. We got him. Let's bring him to the basement. Emily hurried to light the candles along the hallway. Once in the basement, they woke the unconscious Jeffs with smelling salts. Here we are, Jeffs. You pretended to be a simple fortune teller, but we know you're a sorcerer at the service of the northern tribes. How about you do yourself a favor and answer our questions honestly? Jeffs. Who are you people? Why did you bring me here? I don't know anything about any tribes. I'm just a simple fortune teller. We know you hired a detective agency to keep an eye on me. Tell us why you did it. I don't know what you're talking about. Let me go. In this photo, you're shown talking to the detective. And in this one? And in this one. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Now answer me. Susanna showed Jeffs the photos they took of him talking to the detective. Someone must have ordered you to investigate me. Who was it? I don't know his name. He was paying me a lot of money to do it. But I don't know anything else. It's true, I swear. I was only in it for the money. He's a northern sorcerer. Of course he'll never say anything about the King of the North willingly. The King's bound to find out sooner or later. Let's force him to confess with a spell. Oops. Sorry, I get the names Jeffs and Greg confused sometimes. Not the confession spell? Don't do it, you murderers. If I say anything, the King of the North will make me go through hell before he kills me. Please don't use the confession spell. You're leaving us no choice. If you talk willingly, we promise to protect you from his retaliation. You fools! You know nothing of his terrible powers. Listen to me, let me take David to him. I'll put in a good word for him. I'll ask him to spare you. We're done here. David, take the pills. Letting him go would only spell disaster. David, take the pills. It's the only way. Also, look at this face of Jeff's. I really like it. Susanna gave David the pills. Jeff's eyes widened and his lips were trembling. He knew very well the effects of the confession spell. The others surrounded Jeff's and looked towards David and Susanna. You know, for a confession spell, it's pretty fucked up. Susanna began to chant a spell quietly. David's consciousness was slipping away. Ugh, stop it. My body, my head, it burns. Jeff fell onto the floor, writhing in pain. Ah, my king, I beg of you, save me. Archbishop of St. Radford's Church, Lord Mellis, save me, Lord Mellis, King of the North. Suddenly, blood poured out copiously from Jeff's face. No, not just his face. It was pouring from his entire body. The floor was flooded with his crimson liquid. No, it's just a little confession spell. Don't worry about it. He's dead. He was killed by a death curse. Horrified by the events, they backed away from the corpse. They could not turn away from the scene, as if they were inside a nightmare. It's done, David. Jeff's told us about the King of the North. David, what's wrong? You should be conscious again. Well done, Susanna. It is I, the Devil King. My blood has been roused and has started taking over the blood of the man called David. By the time the sun has risen, he will be mine. Look, he got eyeliner and shadow. He looks great. You know I'm evil because I'm fabulous. What? You were supposed to give him your power, not possess him. What's going to happen to him? Worry not. David's body will remain unchanged. I am simply replacing his blood with mine. Then his soul shall be erased, to make place for mine. That's just the dark magics. Erased? But what about Elenovision? What does the Devil King care about the songs of you mortals? I have come to kill the King of the North. Once my goal is accomplished, you will be free of your duties. Do what you want with your lives. You deceived us, Devil King. You were only supposed to give him your powers. David, wake up. Come back to me. Silence, wench. It was you who put his mind to sleep. Kill the King of the North and you can have his body back. Satisfied. Susanna started chanting a spell that would return David's consciousness. That is enough, Susanna. Your duty is over. Leave at once, lest you wish to die. No mortal can withstand the battle between me and the King of the North. Greg and the others rushed out of the room in fear of David, no, the Devil King. Susanna alone remained. She ignored the words of the Devil King while chanting her spell. Cease your spell at once. Are you betraying me, Susanna? Grr, curses. David is regaining control. Susanna, help me. Where am I? I can hear your voice, but it's pitch black. I can't see anything. David, I'm here. I'm in front of you. Look at me. Susanna, I can't move my body. What's happening to me? David raised his arms and closed his hands around Susanna's neck. Die, Susanna. David, you're strangling me. Put your arms down. David could hear Susanna's voice. He could not see what was happening, but he focused his mind on his arms. If he could help Susanna by lowering them, he would do so. Relax your body, David. The power of the Devil King is flowing into you. Do you not crave power? Would you rather be killed by the King of the North? David heard the voice of King Hroth. He realized his abnormal condition was caused by the power of the Devil King. David tried relaxing his body. Then he heard Susanna scream, and he recalled her words. As his consciousness faded, David had to decide what to do. Alright. So, this is the last choice. The last two endings are these choices that we have in front of us. Now, funny enough, the FM Towns version does not have a choice here, and is missing one of these endings. Which one? I don't know. It didn't tell me. Because I looked at a route guide, just to make sure we saw every ending. So do you guys want to follow Susanna's words? Or do you want to obey the Devil King? Post in the chat now. Or you have to keep hearing her screaming. Devil King glam too strong? Free her, says Ellie. Or Elfie. We got one for Devil King, one for free. But which says maybe freeing her could be saved for last. Free her from her suffering. Oh no! Alright, I think we've got two for Devil King, so let's go with Devil King for now, and then we'll go to Susanna's words. So we have now given in to the Devil King's demands. We have allowed him to basically take our body. So I saw this ending, and I think you'll like it. This game might be really fun to just throw on every Halloween or something. And just like do a speed play or something. Deep inside, David wanted the power to defeat the King of the North. As soon as he realized this, Susanna's spell lost its effect. Once again, he was strangling her. David's hands were tightening around Susanna's neck. David's consciousness was desperately trying to let her go. I can't control my arms. Why? David focused his entire consciousness on his arms. Though only slightly, his fingers were releasing Susanna's throat. David, the Devil King is trying to erase your consciousness. He was only supposed to give me power. He tricked us all. He was always after your body. Ragak. David's consciousness wavered at Susanna's words. The blood of the Devil King assaulted David's blood, and Susanna was once again being strangled. Susanna, as a dark sorceress, you should have known that whoever breaks the dark laws must receive the ultimate punishment. Stop it. I'll give you my body if you want it so much. But if you kill Susanna, I'll bite my tongue. Do you believe you can make such a threat when you have no control over any part of your body? My blood has already taken over. Allow me to lend you my eyesight. Behold. David's fingers had gouged Susanna's throat. With a hair-raising sound, her neck snapped. Did you see that, David? By all accounts, you have killed her. Worry not, your consciousness will soon fade away. You will not have to mourn her loss long. Come dawn, this body shall overflow with my powers. Then, under the vigilant eye of the Star of Darkness, the blood of the King of the North shall be severed once and for all. David was losing consciousness, and he could no longer see Susanna. He could only hear the Devil King. He seemed so far away. This pain in my chest. It must be the spell of the accursed King of the North. David fell to the floor. I needed more time. Damn you, King of the North. My heart. The consciousness of the Devil King was overwhelmed by agony. However, David himself could no longer feel pain. What's this? The Northern spell has been broken. I no longer suffer. The King of the North must be drained of strength. Victory is mine. The Devil King raised his arms, shouting his joy towards the Star of Darkness. Then, David's body once again fell to the floor, writhing in pain. I cannot move. I feel no pain, and yet my body is writhing uncontrollably. My blood! My blood is being overtaken by David's blood. How could this be? My blood feels like it's burning. My heart is going to burst. The spell of the King of the North has no effect on my blood, but it stirs David's, rousing it. Before long, he will gain consciousness, only to die, and with his death, my blood will be severed. I have long awaited for the Star of Darkness to shine upon the planet. If I had not killed Susanna, I could have had her cast a defensive barrier. Such a terrible mistake. That's what you get for killing Susanna. Suddenly, David stopped struggling, and all was quiet. Maybe his heart had finally ruptured. Or, no, he was not dead. David was pushing himself up. The magic of the King of the North has vanished. He must have depleted his very life to cast so many spells in a row. However, that would be a problem. If he died on his own, I wouldn't be able to take my revenge. Good, I still sense the warmth of David's blood. The spell of the King of the North is gone, and I am alive. Devil King, do you hear me? You killed Susanna, and I'm going to avenge her. With his consciousness in control, David moved his body up the stairs. He left the basement and then went further up. The Devil King had no energy left to stop him. The King of the North beat you. Look, my blood has been revived and I can control my body. Why don't you try moving it? Come on, I'm waiting. You fool. As long as the Star of Darkness exists, my blood is eternal. In fact, my blood is already taking over yours as we speak. Gasping for air, David raised his eyes towards the top of the castle. With the little strength he had left, he forced himself to climb the stairs. Devil King, your rebirth came too late. Now that I'm here, I'm at the top of the castle. I can follow after Susanna. No matter how bright the Star of Darkness shines, the Devil King can't resurrect if I'm dead. Stop, David. Have you lost your mind? Though his limbs felt numb, David managed to climb atop the castle's wall. Holding onto his fading consciousness, he shouted at the Belmere Comet. Hraf, the Devil King, I don't know how many have suffered, how many have died to satisfy your thirst for revenge, but your hateful bloodline ends with me. Thus, David threw himself over the wall. The consciousness of Hraf, the Devil King, cried out, gripped by terror of death. The next day, a large crowd had gathered at St. Radford's Church in Stratford, south of the castle where the events have occurred. They were mourning the death of Archbishop Melis. Well, that was that ending. What did you think of that one? I like that one. Everyone's dead again. But maybe it doesn't have to be that way. Maybe we can choose a different path. Yeah, if you notice, none of these have like a big funeral for David or anything. Either they don't know what happened because there's like no witnesses and like all that stuff was crazy. Alright, we're gonna follow Susanna's words. This is the last ending. We'll be free of mirrors. I don't know how the long play is only 6 hours long. Me exploring all these endings, like, I have 3 streams, they've all gone to like 4 hours. I know I'm reading it out. David's hands released Susanna's throat and she collapsed to the floor. To be fair, they didn't show 2 of the endings. Susanna, your actions go against the dark laws. Do you realize this? Susanna, though coughing violently, stared at David, no, at the Devil King, with anger. I became a dark sorceress only to help David. If you're going to erase his mind, to hell with the dark laws. I'll do everything I can to bring him back. Devil King, you said you would give me power, but not only are you trying to usurp my body, you even tried to kill Susanna. Why? My power can only be unleashed once my blood fully replaces yours. Erasing your consciousness is but one of the steps. Your fate has been sealed the moment you have witnessed the blood of the northern tribes. Surrender yourself to me. No, I don't want to. Susanna, where are you? I can't see you. I told you to surrender. The blood in your veins is no longer yours and your consciousness is fading. Only I have control over your senses. Susanna stood up again and started casting a spell that would bring David's consciousness back. Don't give up, David. I'm going to bring you back. It is futile, Susanna. Your meager powers will accomplish nothing. David's blood will not return. You are simply wasting your energy. Ignoring the Devil King, Susanna continued chanting her spell with everything she had. Then there was a change in David's expression. I can see you. Thank you, Susanna. That's enough now. We can never beat him. The Devil King is too strong. Susanna did not reply, continuing to chant the spell instead. They both knew that they were reaching their limit. Tears streamed from Susanna's eyes. Her voice was unsteady. The Devil King was not interfering, seemingly allowing her to complete her final heroic act. Stop it, Susanna. Any more than that, and you'll die. Don't do this. Hearing his voice, she stopped chanting her spell. I don't care if I die now, because I could talk to you again one last time. I wish this moment could last forever, but I don't want to see you die. Let's leave this world together, with this feeling in our hearts. Susanna tried getting closer to David. What do you think the King of the North has to think about all this shit? Right then, David grabbed his chest, screaming in pain. Arg, a needle's piercing my heart. David was writhing in pain. David, what's wrong? There's your chest. Ah, it must be the King of the North. What? The King of the North? Curses, he struck while David's consciousness was in control. He might actually kill him. Arg, my blood. David's blood, roused by the pain, it's taken over my blood. Am I going to be defeated by the King of the North? Susanna, you must cast the defensive barrier. If you will not, David's blood will boil and burst out of his body. Seeing David suffering, Susanna had no choice but to obey. She left to gather the tools she needed to create the barrier. When she returned, she was not sure whether she should actually proceed or not. What was the point of saving David from the King of the North, only for his mind to be destroyed by the Devil King? What are you doing, Susanna? Are you going to stand there and watch David suffer? Even if I cast the barrier, he's going to lose his mind forever. I wouldn't be saving him. I'd just be exchanging one death for another. Are you saying it is better for him to go through this torture? Without his consciousness, he will no longer feel anything, including pain. If you truly love him, then cast the barrier and spare him the agony. In tears, Susanna drew the magic circle and started chanting her spell. Cease that pathetic whining. You must devote mind and body to the spell if you wish to spare David from his torment. Seeing David squirm in pain, Susanna focused her mind on the spell. Finally, her expression relaxed. The pain is leaving. It must be your barrier. Thanks, Susanna. And goodbye. Devil King, if you want my body, hurry up and take it. At this rate, Susanna's going to die. David's blood went still, and the blood of the Devil King was replacing it once more. David's consciousness began to fade. He seemed to have accepted his fate. David, don't go. What am I going to do without you? David is no more. His memories are gone. I no longer require the barrier. David has truly become the Devil King. Susanna, I forgive you for breaking the dark laws. In return, you must serve as my personal slave. Forever. Susanna's eyes were no longer looking at David. They were looking at someone who used to be David. Pour the blood of the dead northern tribesmen on a plate. I shall reverse the flow of the spell of the King of the North. He will feel the agony of his own magic. Without a word, Susanna obeyed the Devil King's order. She poured the blood of the corpse into a plate. You should be ashamed to call yourself a dark sorceress with your meager knowledge of magic. Observe, Susanna. This is how you cast the dark spell reversal. They do also edit out the loading times on the long play, which probably helps. Or at least I couldn't notice loading times like this. Especially the big ones that like mention that they're loading. David, the Devil King, chanted a spell. Then he threw the bloody plate south. The stone wall, hit by the plate, was stained crimson with blood. Then blood started pouring from the wall. It poured copiously, as if the stone wall itself was alive. Could that have been the blood of the King of the North? The blood of the King of the North has been severed. How pathetic, to expire from a mere spell reversal. Perhaps time has diluted his bloodline, weakening his magic. I suppose the same has happened to all. Sorcerers, dark and northern alike. Dang, this Devil King is really mean. Susanna, send a summon to all sorcerers in the world. I shall establish a dark kingdom. Any country that will not submit shall be annihilated by my forbidden arts. Rejoice, Susanna. Your beloved David will become king of the world. Susanna was not listening to the Devil King. She approached the man that used to be David and hurled herself at him, piercing his heart with a dagger she had been hiding. The blood of the King of the North has been severed. I won't let you disgrace David's body any longer. Brand me as a traitor if you want. I don't fear your punishment. The Devil King, his chest pierced, slowly pointed a finger towards Susanna. She screamed as blood started oozing out of her body. She collapsed, squirming in a pool of her own blood. She did her best to resist the urge of crying in pain. She did not want to give the Devil King that satisfaction. Now she could only await death. Shortly after, David's body collapsed, falling onto Susanna's blood. Agonizing, she crawled towards him. As death was upon them, they managed to grab each other's hand. As their consciousness faded, they had forgotten their pain. They left the world together, smiling. The next day, a large crowd had gathered at the St. Radford's Church in Stratford, south of the castle where these events have occurred. They were mourning the death of Archbishop Mellis. Yep, that's the closest you're gonna get to a happy end, I guess. I do like that ending too. I do like David like flinging himself off the castle. Yeah, none of the endings have David. If David becomes the Devil King, he never survives. There was the ending that we got last night where he became the Devil King, but Susanna was dead and he was stabbed. So he had one last chance to kill the King of the North, killed the King of the North, and then died. Yeah, this isn't a happy story. So there was never like an ending where the closest ending you had to a bad end, I would say, is the David and Susanna die with the King of the North living. And then I would say like the endings where David and Susanna are in hiding with the baby, either the mental hospital or hiding in secrecy, might be like a neutral ending at best, you know? Because like those endings, David and Susanna get to live. Well, one of them, David's comatose, but the other one, David gets to live his life. But the Devil King and the King of the North conflict still exists and will happen again. So in a way, it's like a happy ending for David and then Susanna, but this tragic story will have to play out once more. So that's how I see that ending, as a neutral ending. The band ending. Yeah, I missed the band. We'll get to see him one last time in this cast list. Orlando Vision vocalist, David. Orlando Vision manager, Susanna. Orlando Vision member, Andrew. Orlando Vision member, Alan. Who was everyone's favorite character? Was it Martin? Was it President Richard? He kind of sucked. Was it that guy? Was it the King Hroth? Was it Clark? Or was it Vince? Was it Gerd? I think it says something that they felt like they didn't need to put a good ending, right? Like, they didn't do the ending where it was all a dream, and they didn't do an ending where David and Susanna deal with everything, the Devil King gets purged from his body or something, and everything's a-okay. Like, that never happens. And I like that. I feel like if you were to write a story like this now, you couldn't have that. Like, you would need a good ending. You need, oh, we were able to defeat the Devil King and the King of the North, and now we can begin anew, and the Leno Vision will continue on. And like, no. Yeah. It's like, no, this is gonna end in tragedy. Susanna and David are going to die. And if they're not gonna die, then this giant conflict is going to happen forever. Yeah, where is the dog ending? I don't know. Italian restaurant owner. Guys, I love this. This is such a wild ride. I guess it is kind of weird that the Joan of Arc never really amounted to anything, but it could have been just like an early red herring. I mean, he was in the area and he was probably feeling those energies. And that's why he saw Joan of Arc get burned at the stake. And maybe the priest that got killed at the beginning of the game, maybe he was after David. But yeah, what a crazed video game. I'd love to check out the FM Towns version, because I'll know the plot essentially, just to see the new art, but I don't really know how much that will actually do. What that will actually mean. Yeah. There's another PC-88 CD-ROM game I want to check out, probably after December, but that one's not translated, and it's more of an action game. It's kind of closer to Ys 3. But thank you for coming on this adventure. I didn't know if this game would interest people. I didn't know if my audience would like hang around and watch something like this. I've done a couple adventure games, but this is the first like visual novel or sound novel. I guess this was a visual novel at the end of the day. I could never really get them all straight in my head. There's Japanese adventure game, sound novel, and then visual novel. Those both got born out of the Japanese adventure game. I liked that it dragged, like, cause it made the weird shit, like we had all this normal shit, and anytime weird shit happened, it felt so out there. You don't like it? I liked it. I liked the presentation. I liked the story. I mean, there's like a point where the story really picks up, but I'm kind of glad because right before that was like a lot of like not padding, but just stretching out. I too also suffer from horrible nightmares. Okay. So yeah, this studio, I think only made 2 games, at least that we could find. I don't even know what the second game is. So this was probably their most major release. PC-88 CD-ROM game, visual novel about nightmares, visions, devil kings, sorcerers, and 2 bumbling detectives. And a band. Good show, lads. Alright. So I'm not going to stream Monday. So I will post a new schedule on Monday, but we will be officially entering December. Last time we did December, I had a mental breakdown because I stressed out way too much about the games. So I'm going to try to take it a little easier this year. But I think you all knew that happened last year. Yeah, get your high memory. Get your EMS. Get all of it. Yeah, I want to thank everyone for coming on this journey with me. Again, this is not something I normally stream or play, and I just wanted to... I wanted to know what it was. Yeah, I hope this December is really good. I still have some more Korean games, and that might be asking for trouble. Yeah, what happened was Fatherworld ended up taking up over all the scheduling, and I had games I wanted to get to, and I had streams I was missing, and I was starting to stress out. So hopefully this December I won't feel so bad. The VOD for Mirrors actually should be up on YouTube in 4 hours. Part 1, with part 2 coming out tomorrow, and then part 3 coming out the next day. I'll try to chop up the endings so you could jump to them. Yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for following. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being with me. Let's find the target to raid. I normally don't stream Sunday nights anymore. Bad at video games. Playing Sonic 1 through 3 where the viewers can switch the games. Macaw is doing the finale of the Addams Family, but he's probably already wrapping up. Lord BBH is trying out PC-88 games. Emmy is playing December games, playing a weird Czech game. Nerd Josh, practicing Infinites, Sleepy. I guess we have to raid into PC-88, right? That's funny. I remember last week Lord BBH was like, I'm not gonna do PC-88 games for achievements. Oh, it looks like he's playing Thunder Force 1. Thunder Force 1 is cool. It's a Bosconian clone. If you're familiar with Thunder Force 3 or 4, which is a side-scrolling shmup, this one's different. It's a top-down, and you can go all 8 directions, and you have to destroy bases and stuff. Yeah, Thunder Force started as a Bosconian clone, an 8-way kind of shooter, and then Thunder Force 2 mixed that gameplay with side-scrolling. Anyway, I'll see you all Tuesday for the start of December. Good night. Have a pleasant evening. Don't resurrect any Devil Kings. Bye-bye.